What up, Lan? Yeah. Bearded conversation, homie, tap in. Why you hating? You already know we locked in. The world's greatest. Broadcasting, laughing, they love it, but don't judge it. Giving it back. Bearded conversation, homie, tap in. Why you hating? You already know we locked in. The world's greatest. Broadcasting, laughing, they love it, but don't judge us. Damn. Got it off the block, forming a dynasty from a rock. Laid back in the cut, press play, can't get enough. Yo, let's chop it up in every location. A bidded conversation, opportunity keep knocking like child support payments. Started from the bottom like basements, now we famous. Podcast official, the topic will probably hit you from a distance like a pistol. Subscribe so you can listen to survival of the fittest. We talking it how we living it. Rolling like a dealership, managing several businesses. T-shirts, podcast, no, you don't need a membership. Just follow us on YouTube, knowledge supreme, infinite. Chicago got a zipping excited, let's talk about it. Going live, check your notifications so you can holler. Or leaving in the comments, debate it, just being honest. Chicago topics, worldwide views, we supersonic. Big Angus conquer, circle back round like every week. Tell a friend off the block, it's where we meet. Bearded conversation, homie, tap in. Why you hating? You already know we locked in, the world's greatest. Broadcasting live and they love it, but don't judge us. Got it off the block, giving it back to hood lovers. Bearded conversation, homie, tap in. Why you hating? You already know we locked in, the world's greatest. Broadcasting live and they love it, but don't judge us. Got it off the block, giving it back. Come on. The hood lovers, off the block, giving it back. The hood lovers, broadcasting live. Bearded conversation off the block, giving it back. Bearded conversation off the block, giving it back. Bearded conversation off the block, giving it back. Bearded conversation off the block, giving it back.
Yo. Welcome to another episode of Bearded Conversation, man. Y'all know what it is. Today is Manly Man Day. We in the building, man. Hey, we don't exclude the señoritas. You know what I'm saying? We love the women. We love the women. Hey, man, open forum, open platform, open to all. You feel me? For the most part, you feel me? Unless you get on my motherfucking nerve. And if you get on my nerve, shit, that's something else. Hey, man. But look, man, how everybody doing this evening? Hope everybody is well. Hope everybody's family is well. Hope everybody doing good physically, mentally, spiritually. Fellas, you know what I'm saying? If y'all in the building, how y'all doing? Tap in, fellas. Let me know if you're all right. You feel me? Most definitely, fellas, let me know if you're all right. Man, y'all know what it is. What's been going on nationally and globally, I'm sorry. But before we get to any of that, man, you know, I like to start and open up every show. So let's get to it. Let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. Once again, let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. And lastly, family, let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. And don't forget to hit that like button too. And if you're new here, sub to the channel. That's people we come in contact with on a daily basis. People we're cordial with, our families, our extended families, and more especially our family right here on this channel, y'all. Hey, exactly. Don't forget to master these 5 key components of life. That's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. Excuse me. That's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. And one last time, family. That's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. And don't forget the most important component about that, the glue that holds all this together, man. That's support. So don't forget to E40 that thing and sprinkle a little support on top, because a little support for a long way, y'all. Hey, if you don't believe me, try it out, man. If it don't work out for you, come on back. We can talk about it and, you know what I'm talking about, see what we can do. As I mentioned earlier, open platform, open forum. I do place the link in the chat periodically throughout the publication for anyone that want to, you know, add to the material. Or if you got something that you want to touch on to talk about that you think needs to be brought to the forefront, please feel free to do so. Or if you just want to stay in the chat, that's cool too. Please be respectable in the chat, man. You know, a lot of times when we do this, I understand, you know, people's opinion and voices and all that matters. But let's be a little respectable. Well, a lot respectable. We start off with the look because it's gonna go left anyway, right? Yes. So big shout out to my co-host who ain't never in the building, Roscoe P. LB, and my co-host is with the most is my little one, AJ. Love you, son. Hey man, big shout out. Big shout out. You know what I'm saying, to all the Leos in the building, man. Leo gang season. Happy birthday to all the Leos. You know what I'm saying? Happy birthday to all the Leo folk. Um, Fire sign in the building. Man, also, man, I want to give a big shout out to all my kings and goddesses that's moderators on the channel. I appreciate y'all for being here and doing what you guys do for the channel. Most definitely, most definitely, most definitely. Hit that like button, family. Hit that like button as you guys come in. Also, I want to let you guys know, subscribe to the channel, man. We got a 3-tier membership. Make sure y'all tap into one of the memberships that we got. We got the silver beard, bronze beard, and that black beard, which is the highest tier package. And we're gonna be bringing some exclusive things here. So I'm trying to get a comedy show. Where right now I'm in the midst of working on these comics. You know what I'm saying? Instead of stand up comic, we're gonna do some sit down comedy. It's gonna be a sit down comedy special. You feel me? So we're trying to put that in play. So be on the lookout for that. Of course, I will be letting you guys know all the details as they unfold with that. But yeah, man, I want to get into this Nolan Well case. Like I say, real quick, I just want to speak a few things before I play little content, little video. Of course, I've been following it or whatever the case may be. And again, I always tell people that, man, it's hard to, take notice or take heed or really, take for face value what you get on TikTok, right? But so I heard this from this young lady on TikTok. I think her name is Nerdy Pink Panda, something like that. So she noted that the boat had a compartment to store things, right? So I heard that. I really didn't, what I'm saying, I ain't really pay that no attention or nothing like that, right? You feel me? So I just let that go. But hey, listen, I'm not saying that these are true or whatever the case may be, because I listen, I don't own a Triton, never owned a Triton. I don't go boating. I really don't like the water, whatever the case may be. I don't own a specific make model of boat. I don't even do that. So I'm not claiming that what this lady was saying is the truth. I'm just saying, the speculations, and I'm just speaking upon the things that were put out there, right? Before I play what I'm gonna play. So just giving I'm just giving my background on how you feel me, I understand what people be saying when they talk about the subject, about how people just draw massive conclusions, just speak out upon things, and they don't necessarily be true. But I'm not saying this is one of them cases or whatever, right? So I'm watching something else, and it goes to speak about a letter that was an entry into a journal on July 4th, on or around about July 4th. Don't quote me on the date or whatever the case may be, right? And the letter goes on into speaking about how, they could have potentially took the body somewhere on a parent's property, or one of the boys' parents' property or something like that, and they had to store the boat, they had to store the body and keep the body cold, and because of decomposition, but it was summertime, so they couldn't quite do it the way they wanted to do it or something like that. And this was crazy shit, right? Great. So hopefully I can find that and show you guys that after this video. Then I heard right after that, I'm hearing someone say speak about compartment, or speaking about being put in a compartment on a boat, and I'm just sitting there like, wow, like this is insane. This is, so sometimes this can be too much. You know what I'm saying? And it's really becoming too much with this Nolan Well situation. But again, and it's hard not to want to believe that something may have happened to this young man, right? And it's easier to take the mindset that something happened versus it could have been truly an accident. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that battle and that contrast that people are having amongst themselves. You know what I'm saying? In certain communities and other communities, and I get it. I truly do understand. You say, well, what's going on? Good evening, human. Good evening. You say, what is a pomegranate? Wow. What's Black Proud Woman. When will the government give our children Draco the bottle? Wow. Okay. But yeah, man. So it's hard, when you get into these type of situations, man, and divulging information and stuff like that. But I'll speak a little bit later on that. But let's get straight to this, Nancy.
Tonight in the Nolan
No,
Wells
Nancy,
investigation. Tonight, a Nolan Wells phone evidence torpedo. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
All but, I believe, one took a polygraph, and from what was told to me, that they all passed.
Nancy, my clients have not taken a polygraph test.
Nobody's guilty, and everybody's a suspect. We don't know the truth yet, but we will.
We have had multiple witnesses reach out to us, two confirmed witnesses that saw Nolan Wells on the island around 6 p.m. on July 4th, well after the Triton, as you said, left around 4:30. And so those witnesses have went to investigators, they've talked to the police, and they've done what they're supposed to do. These witnesses know Nolan. They've known him for a long time. They were able to make a positive ID. And they told that to investigators. They told them that from the very start.
What witnesses? Where? Who, what, where, why, and when? That is a renowned trial lawyer named Tyler Cox, and he is representing the acquaintances of Nolan's that took him to Horn Island on their boat, the Triton. Curious, we've seen, hey, let's pull up that video control room of everyone getting on the boat before they went to Horn Island. It's
What's
very
going on, brother?
interesting, evidentiarily. Okay, here we go. This is from the Officer Tatum show, and you're about to see people. There they are down at the right, and there's actual video of people see the boat at about 1 o'clock. Oh, there we go. Excellent.
Good evening,
shot, guys.
everybody. Good evening.
People
Grand
getting on,
evening.
people
Grand
getting
evening.
off,
Grand evening. Hit
and
that
it
like
keeps
button for
going
me,
to where
family.
you
Hit that
see
like button.
everybody that got on the boat. But here's my big question tonight, before I can even get to the alleged witnesses that Tyler Cox is telling us about. Dave Mack joining me, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Can I see the video again, please? Dave Mack, I'm seeing everybody preparing the Triton to go out, preparing to go out. In this shot, they're down at about 3 o'clock. Okay, keep looking. 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then suddenly you switch to a different camera. There you go. That's the boat. So, Dave Mack, where is the evidence? Where is the video of the boat? Is that Nolan right there walking along the light blue shorts? And he, at that time, had on a white shirt. I think that's Nolan right there. Dave Mack, where is the evidence, the video evidence of them coming back?
Nancy, we have not seen evidence of them coming back. Remember, 3 boats caravanned out to the island, and then we have different stories about when they arrived back on the mainland. But we don't have video of any of them showing back up.
So we don't have that video.
Correct.
Okay, let's circle back to the alleged witnesses that he's going to trial lawyer, by the way. Wins a lot of cases. Is Tyler Cox is representing the acquaintances that went to Horn Island with Nolan. I've got to get
Good evening.
the
Good evening.
phone
Good evening. Good
torpedo,
evening, everyone.
but he's not the only one that says they have witnesses. Listen.
Your day-to-day covered with Base 44 super agents.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree.
And these 2 witnesses, 2 very reliable, very credible, and very outstanding members of the community, they saw Nolan, and they've known Nolan for years. There's no chance that they made a mistake. And by the way, this can be corroborated
ADHD.
through other evidence, other eyewitness accounts. And that's the end of it right there.
That's from the Officer Tatum show. Susan Hendricks joining me, veteran investigative journalist, author of Down the Hill, My Descent into
What's
the
going
Double
on?
Murder in Delphi. What
Good
witnesses?
evening.
I understand that there's video and witnesses. One places him there at 5, one places him there at 6. Significance, the Triton, and we can show this by GPS. They are right about this, left Horn Island around 4:30. So if he is spotted, and you can confirm to me that he is spotted there at 5 or 6, That video has a timestamp on it, and I can corroborate that, or I can corroborate the witnesses weren't drunk. Hey, let's see that video control room again of Nolan bent over, and all you can see is his blue trunk right there. And that's not a very good eyewitness right there. Okay. Do I think that's him? Yeah, I do. I do think that's Nolan. But I would tear that up in court. Tear it to shreds. There's all sorts of, you know what? Hold on, Susan Hendricks. Greg Morse joining me, veteran trial lawyer, founder of Morse Legal.
How you feeling,
He's in
88?
the Southern District of Florida, former West Palm Beach public defender, and author of The Untested. Greg, in Florida, as in Georgia, as in this jurisdiction of Mississippi, the code, the official code of Mississippi, annotated, lays out how you establish or cross-examine, same thing, same criteria, an eyewitness.
That like button
Such
for me,
as, I mean, I
family.
memorized
That
it.
like button,
How
y'all.
far were you away
Love
from
you,
the
boy, getting that
witness?
algorithm, man.
What was the
Nothing
light?
much,
Did you wear
ADHD.
glasses?
Tell
Were
him,
you
my
wearing
boy.
them that night? Were you inebriated? Had you smoked pot? How can you prove that to me? Did anything obstruct your view? Was it daytime or nighttime? What time of the day was it? What were the conditions? You go on and on and on. I mean, you can rattle them off, right? I know you can. So
Absolutely.
how do I know the eyewitness can't identify anything except the back of his legs, like in that video?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's no details about any identification. It's just a broad statement that other people saw Nolan after the boat left. The video you just showed shows from a view from behind of someone bending over. Did the person have sunglasses on? Were they familiar with who they were actually looking at and identifying? You know, how much had they drank during the day? It was a party scene. That's what usually these boat spots are. There's one by me in West Palm Beach, very similar setup called Peanut Island. So most people also, right, they don't think something's important until after the fact. They're just going about their day, notice people walking by. So from what you showed, that's not a very strong identification from that position, but there's no details.
You know, while I've got you, Greg Morse, let me throw another question at you. And look, I'm not wearing a prosecution or a defense hat. As you know, I'm a crime victim. I would say I'm coming at it from that angle. But I was very disturbed, Greg, when I got wind that there is no criminal investigation. It's been said over and over and over. Why not? We don't know how he died. For instance, if he did have water in his lungs, okay, maybe he did drown. But how did he get in the water? Did he fall in the water? Was somebody, you know, wrestling with him in the water and they held him down? They went, oh, my stars, I killed him and left. Did he hit his head?
Well,
I mean, there's a lot more to it than saying, oh, yeah, he drowned. How can someone state there is no criminal investigation? I understand a grand jury is about to be convened. That doesn't mean there's a crime, but doesn't that suggest to you a grand jury inside the Superior Courthouse, inside the district attorney's office would suggest there is a criminal investigation?
Well, it would potentially lead someone to believe that, yeah, a criminal investigation was undergoing. However, when we look at how this has played out over the last 6 weeks, how law enforcement has acted, they haven't seized Nolan Wells's phone at this point. In a criminal investigation, law enforcement's going to use those tools to get this information. So this could just be a drowning. I'm sitting down, and this could just be a drowning. And that's why they're looking at it that way, because nothing's told them it's a
yet.
But everything's not a crime. It doesn't have to be investigated as a crime.
You're still talking. We've already established that. Here's the other, you know what? I'm going to let you think about what you just said. I'm going to go to Jeff Shetler joining us. Guys, this is a special guest joining us out of Edisto Island, South Carolina. Former police K9 handler, author of 5 books. Last one, 2 weeks to operational tracking. I like this one, Red Dog Rising, K9 trailing, the straightest path, tactical tracker teams, the Tao of trailing. He is at gak9.com. Question, I get this a lot from the viewers, so you can put it to rest. How long does a person have to be dead before a cadaver dog will pick up on that scent?
Well, honestly, a dog's going to pick up on the live or dead scent as soon as they're out there. So the time frame, you know, from hours to a day or so is really not a big deal. It doesn't matter what type of dog you have that's looking for humans. Within that first 24 hours, either type of dog, a live finder, you know, deceased person dog, is going to be viable. They're going to pick up on anything that's there. The big issue that we have here is primarily the contamination, you know, after the fact. If the dog was placed at the scene initially to search for our victim, then the chances are the success rate would actually be pretty good. The island is very, very small. There's not a lot of hiding places. There's not a lot of places you could go. On the other hand, inside the water might be a different story. You know, we have tide issues and everything else that are occurring there.
This professional 32 terabyte.
Now that's interesting.
So you bring in a scent dog. I would assume you bring in a scent dog first, but the issue with that, in my mind, probatively, like what can I use? How can I use that in trial? What's going to prove for me? I already know Nolan was on the boat to start with. So of course the dog is going to pick up Nolan's scent on the boat. That's not hard to figure out. So I know a scent dog is going to pick up on that. But a cadaver dog, what should have been done immediately with a cadaver dog? And I'm putting this out there, not to say woulda, coulda, shoulda. Maybe it happened and we haven't been informed. The press, the media, has no right to information in an ongoing investigation. So this may have been done and we haven't been told. I can only pray. So regarding a cadaver dog, what should have been done, Jeff Shetler, and how should it have been done, and when should it have been done?
Lock down the location. Don't let anybody on there. Get the dogs in. See what type of reaction they have. Every second that goes by, every minute that goes by, every hour that goes by will have an impact on the dog work when it comes to age of the material, age of the odor, and more importantly, what your contamination factor is. And this is the one big thing that nobody ever really thinks about. They think the dogs are going to be these magical creatures that detect everything that you're looking for. But that's going to be mitigated dramatically by any type of human activity on the scene. That's the first thing that has to happen. So if you're going to use dogs, you need to get them out there right away. They actually have to be one of the first things on scene.
How do they continuously? That's what be killing me. The pictures.
Hi guys,
like,
Nancy Grace
let's
here.
not
If
show
you
the
are a
pictures.
homeowner, you probably
Like, why must we show the pictures? You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it to add the dramatic effect, but I personally, like, I would continuously show the pictures. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's enough that we already, sitting here talking about it, on several podcasts all throughout the media, regardless of whatever we think happened. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just out of respects to death itself, not necessarily the person, because I know people have, particular understandings about, whatever. But, just let's, I hope, but again, I just hope the grand jury finds what they find, and I hope we can come to some sort of conclusion or some sort of peace with this unaliving of this young man. And I know that's going to be hard because if it comes out there's nothing how to happen, or that it was out of accidental, or that they couldn't come to a conclusion that that they needed to charge someone. I mean, it might be an uproar. It's hard to determine that fact. But again, like I say, man, like the pictures though, like I just hate when they do the pictures. Even sometimes in certain situations, like with the jail picture, I heard Nancy, like, why do we keep putting up a jail picture? Like all these pictures we have. Like, yeah, I just don't like the running of the pictures. But let's get back to Nancy.
#hashtag www.americanfinancing.net/Nancy. Average savings are based on borrowers who save over $199.99. And good luck. Straight out to Joseph Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University. You can find his hit YouTube show, Body Bags with Joe Scott Morgan. But most important, he is a death investigator with over 10,000 death scenes under his belt. Isn't it true, Joe Scott, that a cadaver dog, aka
How
a
many
human
has he
remains
solved?
detection dog, can absolutely detect the scent of a dead person as early as 45 minutes to 3 hours after the death because of the cellular breakdown and organic compounds? Could you translate what I just said, which I've said in court before, into regular people talk?
Oh, man,
Yeah, so our building blocks are cells, and so the cells begin to break down. And you're right. People don't understand that human decomposition literally begins at a cellular level the moment we're gone, okay? So the two compounds that you're looking for here when it comes to cadaver searches utilizing canine assets are putrescine and cadaverine, cadaverine as well. And what they are, they're an organic compound that combine as a result of the cellular breakdown, and it gives off a particular odor.
That like button, family.
To what Jeff was saying just a moment ago, if there is some type of, let's just say, blood evidence, all right, on the boat, that I pray this boat was locked down.
Oh man, we got other people in the building.
Point of impact,
Come
say
on,
for instance, on the railing, any of the gunnels in there, those areas in there, and you have blood deposition, guess what happens, Nancy? That blood begins to break down, just like a body does. Okay, so you'll have the scent that is there, and it is wholly different than tracking a human. All right. Now, where else would you find it? Well, we know that Nolan's remains are allegedly found on the shore, right? They're allegedly right there. Now, we also know, and remember what the second autopsy said, he's in an advanced state of decomposition at this point in time. So the trick is here trying to understand.
That's when he's found on the beach. Hold
exactly.
Just Scott, that's when he's found on the beach. But
let's get them lights up, family.
I'm just a trial lawyer. I'm not a canine expert like Jeff Shetler is, but within minutes to hours, within minutes, dogs can pick up on the scent of human decomp. It starts almost immediately, and the dog
apologies
can smell that.
You can say within 45 minutes, but I have to tell you, there is a lot of variability here, dependent upon a lot of environmental conditions, even the individual that is decomposing. That's going to play into it. So that's not a static number. It's a bracketed number. So you don't know how long it's going to take for this to actually begin to develop.
We also know that well-trained dogs like Jeff Shetler works with can still hit on decomp, even microscopic particles in soil, long after the body has been removed, sometimes years or even decades later, depending on the condition. But as Shetler just pointed out, in these conditions where the surface of the boat is exposed to water, to wind, to contamination, not so much. I'm going to circle back to Jeff in just a moment regarding any possibility of tracking human decomp or human scent on Horn Island. The thing is, we know he was there, so we know the dogs will hit on him being there alive. But what about dead? I also want to clear something else up, and this is really important. Greg Morris, these acquaintances that went out on the beach, I'm not razor locked on them. I'm looking at them. I'm looking at everybody. Who are these two witnesses? If they are telling the truth that Nolan Wells was on Horn Island at either 5 or 6 o'clock, then the acquaintances on the Triton are in the clear, because Morse, I know based on their GPS what time they left the island. So we have to keep our minds open as to what, who, what, where, why, the whole shebang. We can't lock in on those acquaintances if they had already left and he's still on the island. Is that true? I don't know, but it could be, right? Many an investigation has failed because the prosecutor did not keep their mind open as to potential suspects, right?
Well, that's 100% right. You know, the police have to keep an open mind here. It's not even a criminal investigation. So 6 weeks approximately has gone by. The folks that were on the boat with Nolan, nothing has come out even remotely to indicate they were involved in some foul play at this point.
Now listen, now this I don't agree with. Like, it's been 6 weeks, this young man was unalive, and it's not a criminal investigation. So what type of investigation is it? You see what I'm saying? Like, I honestly do, regardless of whatever anyone thinks, I would have treated this like a criminal investigation. Now, maybe due to the way, you know, the public is handling it, or because, you know, the way the public is speaking about it, maybe that's why they took another route. But I most definitely from the start would have been handling this as a criminal investigation.
At all. They're just people that went out to this island with their friend. It appears their friend may have stayed afterwards, and, you know, maybe a tragedy happened. Maybe something else happened that wasn't involving them.
A tragedy did happen. Nolan Wells is dead, and I'm going to find out how. But I tell you what,
but you're talking about 6 weeks.
About
this is
why no
this is
polygraphs have been
isolated.
taken. I'm just
Why?
very curious.
But why?
But many
Why?
defense
For
lawyers
what?
wouldn't dream of
That's
letting
okay,
someone
Michael.
who's
Good evening
doing
to you,
it
brother.
down.
Nancy, you're turning
Oh, dear
a
Lord.
what's not a
Of course they're
criminal
not suspects. You said
investigation
that
and
to me,
want the
Tony. You're
trappings
wasting
of
my time.
one.
Stop it. That's
But when
Mike.
you talk
That's
about
Mike. I see
polygraph,
his lips moving. I hear. Okay. Yeah. Just keep him just like that. Yeah. That's the way I like Morse. Don't hurt your head, Morse. Don't hurt your head. Okay. Susan Hendricks. Oh, my stars, Hendricks. The family is now seemingly being accused of wrongdoing because they haven't handed the phone over yet. What happened back on, I've got a big note here, phone July 15. Isn't that when the family had a meeting and said, yes, you can have the phone, but they want independent examiners there at the same time, right? Tell me July 15, what happened?
July 15th, the attorney for the parents of Nolan met and said, yes, we want to give over the phone, but we want someone in the middle here, someone from the outside, an expert to analyze the phone. It appeared everyone agreed. Then all of a sudden they get a letter saying, we want the phone and you have 24 hours to send it over. The DA sent that. And the parents were out of town and said, wait, we don't have the time to do that. Hence the narrative that they're not cooperating. Now, they say, Nolan's parents, look, we have our experts on standby this week, pick a day. And not to mention on the 19th would have been Nolan's 19th birthday, a difficult week for the family, but they say, hey, we'll give up his cell phone. We want someone, a mediator, if you will, an expert in the middle.
Well, this is interesting, what you just said.
So, are you an expert, Michael? Do you work for the police? Are you an investigator? Are you a forensic scientist?
Joe Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, I've been there, and it is a world-class Crim Pro division. Whole building, whole floor is set up just to recreate scenes. I was so impressed by it. Joe Scott has worked with me on multiple recreations, intricate recreations at Jacksonville State University to try to figure out, is what the defendant is saying, does that make sense? Is what the state is saying, does that make sense? Just all sorts of things you can learn from actually recreating the scene. That said, Joe Scott, I have examined evidence myself at the crime lab. And the crime lab out on Panthersville Road is amazing, state of the art, with the defense attorney there. Mm-hmm. And I typically would not allow a defense team to examine the evidence unless I was there.
And so you
do I think they're going to do something nefarious? Maybe, probably not. But I don't want them to even touch it if it could somehow, compromise the evidence. And it can. A lot of the times, can compromise the evidence. So this is not unheard of.
I guess you're an expert as well, huh?
There, when the phone is searched.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
And it happens. Nancy, I've actually been in autopsy suites with defense attorneys. Believe it or not, all manner of people come through the labs over the years as an independent set of eyes. So let's just say that they do, in fact, have an independent individual examine this phone. And I think this question goes back to you as a prosecuting attorney. Would any kind of findings that were on that phone, would they be negated as a result of the state not doing? If you wanted to move forward as using this evidence in a criminal prosecution, perhaps, would it invalidate it since the state is not doing it? And what are you going to find? And how many hands are going to be on this phone at that given time?
So are you saying that if the defense did their own investigation of the phone and the state did not, would that negate the defense findings?
Yeah, because remember, we've got a grand jury that's going to be impaneled, allegedly.
HELLYES. Because the first thing, if the shoe was on the other foot, I would do is, isn't it true? I gave you the opportunity to review the phone. Isn't that true? On this day. And you didn't do it. So don't come complaining now. Oh, yeah, that would be a matter for cross-exam.
Yo, I just typed that in and it made the whole...
Apologies, family. Apologies.
You're on cross-examination. Who is our next sponsor? Well, here is a probative clue. Meow. Smalls makes fresh human-grade food designed for cats to thrive, while Big Pet Food uses cheap filler. Smalls features 80% animal protein and 0% zero artificial junk. 88% of cat parents report better digestion, softer fur, and more energy for their cats to play. It's a healthy investment your cat will love. If you want to invest in your cat's health, Smalls is giving you 60% off your cat's first order. 60% off plus free shipping and free treats for life when you go to smalls.com/Nancy, SMALLS, smalls.com/Nancy. 60% off your first order, free shipping, and free treats for life when you head to smalls.com/Nancy. Thanks, Smalls, and thank you from our cat, Cinnamon. Joe Scott, Morse, everybody jump in if you've got a question for Scott Eicher. Let me tell you who Eicher is. Digital forensics expert, founding member of the FBI Cellular Analysis Survey Team, historical cellular analysis expert, former FBI, 22 years, former homicide, Norfolk, Virginia Police Department, works multiple cases, and currently with precision cellular analysis. I could go on. Scott, tell me how
Well, that just sounds crazy. Like we know both.
Examination. I mean, you don't just pick up the phone and go, okay, I looked at it. What is a phone examination? How do I get evidence of potential snaps that were sent that day, texts, emails, photos taken during those critical hours? And important, how do I find out if anything was deleted? We've heard, yes, it's deleted. No, it wasn't deleted. The only way we're going to know is from a forensics exam. How do you do it? Now, take baby steps. Go ahead.
It's pretty easy nowadays. You get the physical phone itself. You hook it up to a device like the Cellbrite, which is one of the main producers of this type of software that can download phones. First of all, obviously, you have to have the password to the phone. If not, then you have to go through a lot of processes to get past the password and into the phone. But once you're into the phone, and this can be done with other people standing by, as you were talking about, another investigator for the defense or for the family or something like that being there, they can sit there and watch you download the phone. And basically, once you download a copy of what's on the phone, and you're not really messing with the evidence that's on the phone, you're not changing it, you're just copying it to another computer, and then you can start going through that data. You can look at all the text messages, and it'll even let you know which ones have been deleted. Now, of course, deleted means, it's
Put them
in
up,
kind of
please.
computer
Put them up,
terms.
please. What do you see when you're looking for deleted? Is it, do you see like you log on and you just see all this data, X's and O's and digits, and how do I tell something's been deleted? Explain that to me. I mean, unless it's in recently deleted, but even my twins at age 3,
Good evening,
know
Hurricane.
my
What's
phone
going on?
recently deleted
Good evening.
and delete it. How do you find it?
So it's actually just, on the computer screen, you're looking at all the lists of text messages, and it says right to the right of it, this one was deleted. So in an aspect, if it hadn't been overwritten, think about how computers work. You delete something just like a phone. You delete something, it kind of takes it and moves it into a non-use to an area you're not using. And then once, if the phone starts getting full, it starts writing over that deleted stuff. So things that were deleted at some point in time are still there and can be recovered. The actual texts of the text message, the content of the text messages is still there until it's getting written over by the phone.
Scott Eicher, has your company, Precision Cellular Analysis, performed these independent examinations of phones?
Yes, they have. We have a whole group of individuals in our company that just specialize in downloading phones, rebuilding phones that are damaged so that the data can be pulled from the phone, and breaking into the phones if we don't have the password.
What is Cellbrite and how is it used?
It's a program that's been around for a good amount of time, probably 15 years, and each year it gets more updated, but it's a program that actually goes into the phone and allows you to copy the information from the phone onto a different computer. And then you can look at that data and spend time going through it, get all the chronological information from text messages to pictures to Snapchat. So you can get a timeline from all these different areas of the phone.
What about a digital forensics go bag? A portable data collection rig. We saw it in the Nancy Guthrie investigation. It was used when the investigators went into the Guthrie family home. You see it on field operations, intelligence, digital forensics. They extract or they mirror digital info right there on location, a tactical exploitation kit like a forensics go bag.
Yes, those are available, and basically Cellbrite is that also. It's more for phones, but you can have the same type of device for computers and for other devices in the home. But Cellbrite is also a portable device that you can take to a crime scene, take to a house, or go to a individual's residence and do that download. It doesn't have to be done in the office.
According to the family, they have made the phone and their independent experts readily available.
My whole crew knew my wife was cheating for 2 years. Nobody told me.
The Jackson County DA's office, as well as our forensic team, and possibly the FBI, we're going to together download and examine the phone. So it's done one time with everybody together, right? This is very common in the law. This is what is supposed to happen. We're waiting for the DA to determine the time, the place, the date. Let us know, and we are going to be there with our forensics team and anybody else, but it's done one time, one examination. We're ready for it to happen.
From our friends at WLOX, that's Liza Park working with Nolan's mother.
For sure, RIP.
To you, Susan Hendricks, now somehow it's made to look like the family, Nolan's family, is not cooperating. Let me understand what has happened. So Nolan's family went out of state. I don't know why. And while they were gone, they get a demand letter from the DA's office.
Yeah, that said you have 24 hours. And they were at the NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists Conference in Georgia. They spoke on stage and they said, wait a minute, we're not there. We can't do that. I thought we agreed on July 15th at that meeting that we would come together and do this. And now you're acting like we're not cooperating, but we are. So then they came back now, Nolan family attorney saying, okay, any day this week, we need 24 hours notice and we'll make it happen. Not having the phone, they just don't trust for the DA to have the phone alone without an independent investigation into the phone, someone who's not biased.
And, Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter, the family is afraid. Many people have seen injustice in other cases that have nothing to do with them. And I believe they fear evidence will be destroyed or mishandled. And it can never be recaptured. It's very possible it could never be recaptured. I mean, you and I and Joe Scott, you did an incredible recreation in the Ellen Greenberg case. Remember? Ellen Greenberg stabbed, I think, 20 plus times, including the back of the head, the back of the neck, the back, actually severing the dura of her spinal cord. And the ruling was suicide. Okay, this is what I'm leading up to. So,
yes, ma'am.
All of the evidence was not documented at the scene. The police this is in Philly, told the apartment manager, sure, clean it up. As a matter of fact, here's a professional cleaner. Call them. They had it professionally cleaned. Bye-bye, evidence, gone. Not only that, the apartment manager took a video of the inside of Ellen's apartment to show basically, look, this is how it was before. This is how it is after. We want to prove we didn't take anything. We didn't steal anything. Everything is accounted for. And that's SOP, standard operating procedure. So when they didn't process the crime scene, they went, oh, thank goodness, at least we have the video. They handed the video over to Philly PD and they lost it.
Yeah.
Just let that
There's one more thing. There's one more thing that kind of ties back to there's one more thing that kind of ties back to Nolan's case here as well. And that's the fact that with Ellen, I don't know if you recall this, the computer made it out of there as well. Do you recall that? And that was never examined, right? And so that's, again, we're left wanting, Nancy,
Now
relative
he's
to
sitting
all of
here
the data.
with all
Yeah.
of the info leading up to the
Everything.
time of her murder, real
Yeah.
suicide,
That's true.
taken off the scene. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
claiming that the people that took it, they were family members of the fiance. For all I know, they took it because they didn't want anybody to steal it. And nothing nefarious happened. But the problem is, you locked down a family. Look what's happened to Nancy Guthrie. A pizza
Yeah, you
delivery
can't-
guy
yeah.
came and walked right over the blood evidence to deliver a pizza. Same thing here, Dave Mack. I get why the Nolan Wells family is fearful.
Well, Nancy, this investigation, I'm putting air quotes in that because if you remember early on, it was a drowning, and no investigation had even been done. You realize he was missing. It wasn't like it was hours and they went back and he was missing for almost 2 days. And the family early on was not getting information that they felt like they should. All they're saying is, we want to be assured of the chain of custody, how the extraction on this phone is going to be performed, who would have access to the extracted data. That's important. Preservation of the evidence. And then, when is this phone going to be returned to us? This is the last thing they have of their son. And those things that I just mentioned, those were the items discussed on July 15th. And there was no follow-up after that until August 12th, when the DA's office, tells the family, well, you got 48 hours to turn the phone over, and they were out of town. So, yeah, there's a lot going on with the most important part
there
of
was
the
no
evidence.
way by
that
the
we
time
have.
they find out about the letter that they could comply with the 48-hour requirement.
We promise a tenfold refund if it doesn't work. Traditional dentures can cause jawbone loss and alter your facial contour.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. Please join us on Crime Stories and victims or think you know anything regarding the death of this young man, Nolan Wells. Dial 228-769-3063. Repeat, 228-769-3063. We are not letting go of the Nolan Wells investigation. Tonight, we remember an American hero, Deputy Sheriff Brian Philip
I like how she did this at the
Converse
end.
County Sheriff's Wyoming. Just
I
before
give
midnight,
it that.
killed in the line of duty, leaving
Really
behind
not a
his grieving
nasty
wife to a
person, but I
widow
like
and
I like how she in that show.
American hero, Deputy Sheriff Brian Philip Gross. Thank you to our guests, but especially to you for being with us tonight and our search for the truth, wherever that may lead us, in the Nolan Wells death. Nancy Grace signing off for tonight, but I'll see you tomorrow night. And until then, good night, friend.
Now, for those that might not like Nancy, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I understand. But me personally, oh man. Again, I'm not truly a Nancy Grace fan, right? I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat it and tell you guys, oh man, Nancy Grace is the best. You know what I'm saying. I'm not gonna do that. But what I will say is I do appreciate, excuse me, and I understand what she's doing, and I guess to a certain degree, I'll even say I appreciate it, if that makes any sense. But again, man, it's just a lot of speculations, a lot of things is being said, a lot of things is happening, a lot of things is going on. We don't necessarily know, what I'm saying, the wholehearted exact truth. I want to get to this guy here. Because I think this is where I think this. I'm trying to find out where this letter came from. And not that it matters, you guys. I just want you guys to see a lot of the craziness that's that's involved in this case. And I'm pretty sure you guys have heard some of the craziest things already or seen or might have heard. Okay, give me 1 second, you guys. Give me 1 second. But in any event, though, regardless of what we didn't see and what we didn't heard, man, it's insane. It's insane to just no, that's not it. Let me see. I thought this was crazy. And again, I don't take any of this for face value, right? I just don't. I don't take any of this for face. And I'll be trying to figure out where the hell and how the hell do all this craziness come about? How? Where do they get these things from? Like really? Like where do they get this shit from? Do people just sit at home and just concoct and just make this shit up? But check this out, y'all.
Odd letter. It looks like a journal entry that just hit the internet. Let me know what you guys think. It says July 4th. We go to the party, the island. We had alcohol. I may have drank half, if not a whole seltzer throughout the entire time. Was worried about returning for his second season, and he didn't want to ruin his chances. Cell service sucks here. Imagine something happening to you and not being able to call out for help. Nolan side-eyes and dismisses the comment. Nolan snaps a photo or a video of scenery or something. Wyatt had been sniffing the bug shug all morning. Wyatt tries to grab his phone and has to put it, and Nolan jerks his phone because this feels like what would lead to Nolan's death later. Approximately 12 hours later, Nolan was...
Now again, I'm not saying that this letter is true. I don't even know where this letter come from. I think this guy name is Detective Sam or something like that. No real true, not that I know of. Expertise in this. I don't even know how he acquired this letter, or where this letter even came from, or who wrote this letter, how this letter even surfaced on the internet, and how he obtained the letter. Again, the letter is probably just some crazy shit because, again, just looking at how it was wrote, and then he couldn't even make out, saying half of what the letter said and things like that. I mean, this is at this point, man, it's just getting unbearable, and it's getting crazy. It's really getting
already hanging on an inkling he shouldn't go to the pool party. Him and Wyatt have had some animosity for a while because Nolan was back and forgave easily and didn't hold grudges. He was the peaceful friend, the conflict solver in most of his social group. He had several, maybe 3 friends, Grumps. I can't read the rest of that. Nolan was only put on the boat to be transferred back to the island around 3 to 5 a.m. July 6th. That's why he wasn't found initially on the island. He was stored somewhere cool and dark to keep from decompositioning a minute, but it was summer. He already started to have a hint of smell permeating the shaded area. It's an area of property him and his friends hiked or hung around in, and yes, it's one of his friends' properties. Somebody got a farm or hiking trail, maybe both. Somebody cried. Somebody is scared to speak. Somebody was threatened. All of them are being haunted. Nolan decided to unfriend this group, and they couldn't accept it. The ultimate motive. Again, it's hard to read this letter. The writing kind of looks that of a female. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments.
This feels what would lead to Nolan's death later.
He was the person.
Let's see, approximately 12 hours.
I don't agree with that.
Later, Nolan was already having an
And
inkling
it says
that he
the journal
shouldn't go to the
entry.
pool
I
party
don't
later.
know.
Him and Wyatt
That,
had animosity for a
that don't
while,
even,
more
I
so
don't know,
Wyatt,
man. I
because
don't keep a
Nolan
journal. I don't want
was,
people writing their
I
journal.
don't know what that
But
word is, but the
yeah,
expert
that's
says
kind of,
back,
I wouldn't take
he
that into no type.
forgave
Honestly, I wouldn't
easy
take that into no type of.
and didn't hold grudges. He was the
I wouldn't
peaceful
even
friend,
mean that
conflict solver in most of his
at all.
social
I
group.
would look at it.
He had
But
several,
yeah,
maybe 3. And the rest of that part is kind of watered out there. Let's go to the second page right here. And it continues. Nolan was only put on the boat to be transferred back to the island around 3 to 5 a.m. on July 6th.
so does
That's
somebody take a
why
picture
he
of this?
wasn't found
They
initially
write it
on
in
the
this, just
island.
take a picture, just
He
post it
was
on
stored
there.
somewhere
People ran
cool
with
and
it. Come
dark
on, man.
as to keep
You gotta stop this, y'all. This
decompositioning
is what we
at a
have.
minimum. But it's summer. He
This is
already
what we have.
started to have a hint of
I
smell
agree.
permeating
Like
the
this is something
shaded
that we have
area.
to stop. We have to stop
It's an
this.
area of property him and his friends hiked or hung around. And yes, it's one of his friends' property. Somebody got to form a hiking trail, maybe both. Somebody cried.
Like that's crazy. When I see this so-called letter, that's supposed to be surfacing, man, we gotta do better, man. We gotta do better. We gotta do better. What's going on, famo? We really do, but we gotta do better, family. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that you can't look at that and you can't just, oh, well, you know, maybe no, but we gotta do better, man. Anybody could have wrote that damn note, took a picture, posted it online. And you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. We just can't. We can't. We can't take a lot of these things that we see and just run it at face value. We got to stop that. We must stop that. And I do agree with a lot of people when people say that, you know, we're not specialists. We're not private investigators. We're not forensic scientists. I agree. You know, when people take that stance. But one thing that I disagree with is the sensitivity in the case, you know, and how it's being handled. Now, again, you can look at something one way, and I can look at it another way, and you may not see what I see, and that's understandable and that's okay. But again, I see a lot of inconsistencies. Again, I'm not saying that those young men were murdered by those boys, but I mean, you know, hey, let's check this out, y'all. This was interesting.
And the friend group. Now there's word that the friend group is raising money for what? Why? Why did the family respond to Nolan's alleged or believed, assumed friends the way they did? Brandon Tatum is a lightning rod. Why? Black guy who talks conservative politics, black guy who supports the president, black guy who is not open to the idea that in Nolan Wells, it's got to be about race. Went to Mississippi, had interviews that definitely shed light on who we're dealing with here and what's going on. So I asked Brandon Tatum to come back to talk about the response to what he learned, what he now knows that he can share with us, and what he believes the state of play is with what is resonating on the story of Nolan Wells. And there's one thing that we agree on right off the top. Nolan Wells was a great young man, and he was a tremendous loss, obviously, to his family, but also to his friends and to his community. And we often get distracted by how someone dies, and we forget how they lived, even at the young age of 20. This kid made some impact on so
I agree,
many people,
Fambo. That's why I'm
and for the
like,
right
yeah,
reasons.
I look at
So
the
what does
letter, but
Brandon
yeah,
Tatum
we're not
know?
using that for
What does he
nothing.
agree with? What does he disagree with? And why? Let's get after it. Brandon Tatum, thank you for joining us again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
How has the reporting that you did in Mississippi and the interviews that you did, how has it been received?
It depends on what group of people you referring to. I think that for rational people that, in my opinion, want to know the
I
truth and
actually
are
reached out to
open-minded,
Officer
it
Tatum.
was
Hopefully he
received very
reaches out
well.
back
They
to
got
me. I
access
want
to
to sit down
information that
with him and see
wasn't
if I can
privy to the
get an
public.
interview. I actually reached
Obviously, law
out to him.
enforcement has this information already, but information that people who are interested in finding the truth wanted to hear from these young boys and their account, and they can make their decision from there. It was received very well. People are thankful, very thankful that I took the time to interview these young boys, and they got a little more clarity when it comes to majority Black community. Some of the celebrities, D.L. Hughley and others, they absolutely hate me. They think I'm Satan, and they think that I hate my mama, who's Black, just because I decided to interview people who asked me to interview them. And I don't know how people have conflated what I have done in this interview or in this process, but they have. And this is not abnormal. When you're Black in America and you don't toe the line of where, quote unquote,
Okay, first of all, man, them boys don't know you, man. Them boys, 18, 19 years old. Ain't no way in the hell they reached out to you and just asked you to interview them. Like, come on, let's stop it, man. Like, if we don't, if we can't see, if y'all don't know, that's a damn lie. Come on, man.
Black community wants you to, then you're deemed an Uncle Tom coon sellout. You somehow
This
hate your
ain't true
people, and
neither.
you somehow working for the white man, which is furthest from the truth, man. I love everybody. I don't care nothing about race. It's pointless to think about race. I treat people based on their character, based on their integrity, based on what they present to me, and that's the end of the story.
Why do you think members of the Black, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Celebrity community, whatever it is, Black people whose names we know, why do you think that
Wow.
they come at you that way? You think it's about your politics, or do you think that they are worried about something that you're not showing enough concern about in their estimation?
No, a lot of these people are ignorant. They're
Why was that even a hard question to ask? Why you just couldn't say why do you think other Black people, you know what I'm saying, feel that way about you? Whether they're celebrities or not, you feel me? Because it ain't just celebrities that feel that way. It's just people, in general as a whole. So why do you have to break it up and specify it and compartmentalize it?
brainwashed and emotional. None of them are addressing actual things that I said and actual processes that I went through to interview. They do not care about the truth, or many of them would have interviewed me and just asked me what happened and what did I do. None of them, even those who claim to be journalists, did not give an
I
opportunity
reached out
to
to
the
him.
other
Let me
side
see
to
if he
have for the
reached
other
back
side
out
to
to
have a
me and
voice.
see what
They
he
did
said.
not.
I
And the
got a
reason
small
why is because they're white.
platform.
And a lot of them actually hate white people. And they act like they don't. Listen to their rhetoric. Listen to the things that they've said in the past. They hate white people internally. And so when a topic comes up like this, and there's an opportunity to paint white people with a broad brush, they take advantage of it. And I've seen it over the years. I've seen it growing up. I used to hate white people when I was growing up. That's just a part of the culture.
It's personal.
And unfortunately, it rears its ugly head as soon as one of these incidents happen. And you've seen it time and time again. Go look at the comment section. How does young men who we don't really have any evidence that committed a crime, how do they get painted as criminals? How do they get painted as being responsible for the death of a person that was considered their friend? If the roles were reversed, this would be maddening.
You know what it's like to confront racism. You know it on many different levels, right? You know it as a Black man, you know it as a Black athlete, you know it as Black cop, you know it as a Black political advocate, you know it on a lot of levels. When you met these people, their families, what did that special or if unfortunate radar that you have built into you, what was your read on these people and the vibe in this community vis-a-vis Nolan Wells?
It was incredible. They were normal people. They seemed like great families. They seemed like they raised their children right. And the interesting thing, they had nothing but great things to say about Nolan. They all were very thankful for Nolan. They were all saddened. Even some of the parents cried when we were talking about Nolan. They were very distraught that Nolan had passed away. And they all seemed like if you go to that side that I went and talked to the people on that side, they all seemed to love Nolan. This was lost for everybody. And there was no racial animus. They all have Black friends and everybody get along. Everybody that I talk to is like, no, the race is not a thing here. We all love everybody. Horn Island is full of a diverse group of people. We have a diverse friend group. All of these things is what is said on this side. Very welcoming. And I do not think that's the case on the other side.
You want to shred that chest to pieces? Watch this.
Apologies, family.
There have to be sides, and how do you define the other side?
Well, I don't think there should be sides, but these groups have, and
The
I would
light
argue
in chat.
that Nolan's parents and Benjamin Crump have taken a side. I said this on my live stream yesterday. I said this should have been a community effort. When your son goes missing, when Nolan's loss is a loss for everybody. It's a loss for his parents, his siblings, his family, his friends, his coach, his football team, the community at large. Everybody lost Nolan. The effort that I think should have been brought forward is that everybody should come together to find out what happened to Nolan. These parents should be talking to these parents about who saw this boy last and what happened. That was not the case because people interjected race into this. Immediately, Nolan Wells' side says they went out with white boys. Something must have happened. The justice system is flawed, inevitably, because once upon a time in Mississippi, there's racial things that happen against black people. But in perpetuity, white people cannot be trusted, and everything must be a fraud because there's white people and my son is black. That to me destroyed the community and made it into a partisan thing or a separation thing versus a united front. And we can see that because people were telling me when I was out there interviewing people that people in the community are terrified. There's people that they think know more, but they're afraid to say anything. Because even if you didn't have nothing to do with Nolan's death, if you say, I saw him last, you could be painted as a suspect in a murder. And they will blast you and drag your name through the mud and threaten your life. You know, Chris, the young boy Trayston can't even go to a store. He went to buy a Gatorade and he said, your money's not welcome here. Black people turn their backs on Trayston, and he wasn't even really accused in this situation. And the boys warned them were somewhere else in another state, and people were screaming at them at a restaurant, kicked them out, said, say his name. What does that tell you? That tells you that the narrative has been set, that they did it. It's not an open-minded scenario. It's not a we want to know what happened. It's that they painted these boys as they're criminals. And all the information that I have thus far, there is no indication whatsoever that they were even there when Nolan passed away. And I have seen video, I've seen all kinds of evidence. The police interviewed these kids already. They've given their cell phones over to the FBI. I mean, in my opinion, based on what they've shown me, they've done everything the right way.
Bart Edmiston has gotten a lot of attention on social media. People believe that he has something to answer for. Did he know the young woman that Nolan Wells may have been with that kept him from going home with his buddies? People don't seem to know her. She wasn't really part of the group, but was she known to Bart Edmiston? Is that why he may have been involved in what happened to Nolan Wells? These are vexing questions, serious allegations. My suggestion to you is, after you watch the upcoming interview, I think you will feel very differently about Bart Edmiston. Why? Because I do. Because I do. That's why. And at this point, it is safe to say I know as much or more than most people covering this investigation. And if you listen long enough, you will hear what I'm hearing about the official autopsy into Nolan Wells and what it is consistent with, what it is suggestive of. I'll tell you this as a spoiler. It is not definitive. I do not know what happened to Nolan Wells. And do the authorities? Maybe. Maybe they do. And why aren't they saying? We will discuss that. There's good reason, maybe bad reasons, depending on your opinion. But what happened to Nolan Wells demands something it is not getting enough of. Integrity of time. Do you want the right answers? The answer has to be yes. Otherwise, GTFO. Okay? But if you want the right answers, you cannot rush accuracy. You lose accuracy as you increase pressure of time. Do they know more than they are telling you? Absolutely. Are they not telling you for bad reason? Not in my estimation. Do I want to know more than I know? Of course. Of course. But that's a fundamental tension. Okay? Due process demands the integrity of the process. I love leaks. I love accurate leaks. Why? Because I want to know more. And I do think it helps me as a watchdog on the system. But presenting to a grand jury, it is a secretive proceeding. It is. Look it up. And I understand now that this prosecutor in Mississippi does it a little differently than some others do. Why? Well, they don't go to the grand jury with everything. And this prosecutor is more inclusive. So you can't read into it going to the grand jury as if it is suggestive that she believes there may have been a crime. I don't think that that's a fair assumption. We'll explain why in this interview. But I do think at the end of the day, there are real questions about how a young, strong college athlete just died and nobody saw anything, nobody knows anything. That strains credulity. It would shock the conscience. Why? Doesn't make sense. I mean, anybody who's paying attention knows it wasn't 4 people go out, 3 men come back, or 5 go out, 4 come back, whatever the math was. And just happens to be the odd man out, the black guy who doesn't come back. This is not as simple as that. There were hundreds of people where they went. Somebody saw something. Somebody may have seen everything. And the investigators may well know who that person is. But is it Bart Edmiston? Was Bart on that boat helping or hurting? And how do we know? Did Bart know the young lady that may have been with Nolan Wells? Was he jealous? Those pictures you've seen, are they accurate? Are they fair? That audio you've heard, is there a basis? What does Bart Edmiston say about that audio? What does he say? Now you will know. Here is his counsel, Russell Latino, who is representing Bart Edmiston Jr. 21 years old, knew Nolan Wells, was part of that group of boats and friends that went from the coast of Mississippi out to Horn Island together. That is all true. He knew Nolan Wells. He was part of that group. But which part and what happened? Here's what we know.
All right, you got to stop buying generic Viagra if you're all over 40. You can get 9 pills of 100 milligrams of Viagra for $7.
Counsel, thank you for joining us once again. And just to be clear with the audience, Russ Latino, real last name, Italian, sounds Latino. I thought it was a marketing ploy. He says no, but it works a lot of different ways. Counsel, thank you for taking the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. All it literally means is somebody that speaks Latin, which, as you well know, originated in Rome. So it's a commoner's last name. Also happens to be the word associated with an entire ethnic group. So it's confusing.
It works a lot of different ways. Let's leave it as that. It's adaptable. So before we go broad, let's go narrow. Is there anything new in terms of your client and your pursuits?
I mean, look, I'm monitoring the things that are being said across social media. I think in the next week, there'll be additional activity around some of the accounts that have sort of driven some of the most, what we believe are egregious narratives around my client. I think the reality is that the internet is fickle. And so at some level, as other people insert themselves or other names come out, the internet is a way of rotating between people. And they're assigning different people culpabilities based on the day.
I want to play a clip of your interview with Trayston. Rose, if you're listening to me, because the mother and father had a reaction to him that I thought was very interesting. And I wanted your take on the context and their reaction to it. Elmore, you heard that kid Trace in the interview say that he was friends with Nolan and that you guys would know him. Do you know him? Do you recognize him?
No, I don't. Just because you park your vehicle in someone's yard doesn't mean that they have to know you. Sounds more to me like he's more focused on getting people to know him and getting away from the fact that his so-called best friend is not here anymore. Everyone that they may have interviewed are at home. Our son isn't. Our son should be in college right now. We should be receiving phone calls from him about how his day went, but we can't. And we just want everybody to focus on what the real subject is.
How did that strike you based on what you understand from Trayston?
It was confusing to me, right? Because you got to think, I don't know none of these people. Trayston goes on television, ABC or one of these news networks. Before I ever met Trayston, he was like one of the first people to speak out. And Trayston is telling me that he's friends with Javon too, or Javon. He's telling me all of them are friends. And all are really close. All hang out with Nolan. And everybody's saying they're Nolan's friend, right? So then Tristan explains to me, I go to his house all the time. He literally starts tearing up in his eyes. Now, he could be telling me a flat lie, but he showed me pictures. He showed me pictures of him and Nolan at prom. He showed me multiple pictures of him and Nolan hanging out. He starts to tear up when he told me before the interview and during the interview. He was like, that hurt. That she said she wouldn't even know me. He didn't just say he posted. Now, he can, like I said, I don't know who's telling the truth or not. I wasn't there. He didn't say he just parked his car in Nolan's yard once. He said he parked his car in Nolan's yard a few times. He also said he spent the night over Nolan's house multiple times. He told me that him and Nolan, he said Nolan was his best friend. Now, you got to think, Chris, he's not implicated in this. Only the white kids, right? They left the black kids out. Javon, even though Javon had his story of being with Nolan and all that, nobody cares about his story. Even though Javon left his phone on the boat with Nolan's phone, when the boat left and they had to come back and get his and Nolan's phone, nobody talking about him because he's black. But Tristan is telling me, I used to take him to school. We used to get rides together. His dad used to come pick us up and do these things. And he seemed visibly emotionally upset about them saying they didn't know him. Now, that's my conflict. I don't know who. Nolan is not alive to tell us, but I find it more believable on his side than their side. And I'm gonna tell you why. It wasn't until I think that Tristan distanced himself from the racial component in this situation that all of a sudden he's no longer even associated with Nolan. And I can't, it's very hard for me to, he tells me the class that they met each other in. I just don't see him lying. I just don't see him lying about it.
Summer's here. If you want to actually feel confident, less bloated, more energized, not just look like it on the outside, but feel it, starts with your gut. I thought being bloated every day had just gotten like that is ethically treated.
In tune with your kids, you may not know who their friends are. You don't think they're friends. You don't engage with them. They don't come to your house often. But to Nolan, when he's not at home, he's engaging with these young people and he's very friendly with them. I find it also interesting that the parents act like Warren and them weren't his friends. And Warren and his parents are like, let me tell you this, Chris. Nolan's mother went to school with Warren's stepmother. They went to school together. She have all these pictures in the yearbook and them in all her classes. They went to school together. They knew each other to a certain degree. And the mom is saying she don't know any of these people. And the parents, when I met them, they were all emotional about Nolan. And they said, Nolan he's over our house.
Man, I went to school, plenty of motherfuckers sat in the class with him, and I don't know them people.
All the time. We love Nolan. I mean, they cried. One of the mothers cried when she talked about Nolan. And so it's kind of interesting that, like, all the parents are saying that they love Nolan. He's always there. They vouch for his character. And they have pictures with Nolan everywhere. Nolan spent the night at their house, and Nolan went out to Horn Island with them for the second year in a row.
With Base 44.
And again, you can't say that. Yeah, maybe Nolan did spend the night at these people's house, right? Maybe they knew Nolan, but you can't say that his parents knew these young men or their parents. You can't say that.
Well, look, here's one thing we know for sure, and you mentioned this earlier. This was a good kid. You got to give credit to his parents. You got to give credit to his extended family, his teachers. They had a good one here. This kid had good grades. He was a college athlete, and everybody, not just because he's dead, because there could be people who just wouldn't say anything or would say it differently, right? I mean, you and I have both seen plenty of situations where a young person dies and it's under curious circumstances, and they weren't a saint. And maybe they didn't deserve what happened to them either, but there's a mix. Not with this kid. Everybody unfailingly says, and you see it in the videos of him dancing with staff at the school and stuff like that. And, people wanted to be around him. They liked him. This was a good kid.
This kid, and this is why it bothers me so much, because this kid was an exceptional human being. Like, I was tearing up multiple times talking to these boys. We went out to Horn Island on a boat. They were emotional and saying this was Nolan's favorite song. They played songs that Nolan loved going out on a boat to Horn Island. These boys were tearing up. They loved him. His parents, the boys that I'm talking about, I never met Nolan's parents. His parents cannot say enough about Nolan. They loved him. They said he was like a son to them. One of the boys' mom, Chris, presented a 70-page document to me where she said she's so obsessed with finding out what happened to Nolan. She went and talked to everybody in the city. I talked to this person on this day, and this is what they said. This person wasn't involved. This person did this timeline here, this, 70 pages. This is how much one of the boys' mother loved Nolan and wanted to find out what happened to him, that she is literally talking to everybody on planet Earth.
One other step sideways, and then I want to ask you about what your best sense is as
Not
law
everybody
enforcement,
else
someone who's
does.
down there and someone who's working it, as to where we are and where we wind up. There was a fundraiser. Nolan's friends established a Give, Send, Go fundraiser titled Stand with Nolan Wells's Targeted Friends. The names offered were Warren Hudson, Jax Patalo, and Morgan.
Well, that's
Seymour.
hilarious.
What do they need a fundraiser for?
Yeah, because they're getting ready to get sued by the family. The family had established this the day that Nolan was put to rest at his funeral on that Monday. The family signed a document opening an estate in his name. Most people that I talked to about that said that is what you do in preparation to sue for wrongful death. They are posturing up to sue the family, to sue these kids. And they sent the document to some of the families. I saw one of them that says that they need, in preparation of a lawsuit, that they need to retain text messages and all this other stuff that they have to retain and not delete in preparation of a lawsuit. Now, mind you, Chris, nobody knows what happened to Nolan. By all accounts.
Do you believe that, by the way?
That nobody, well, I'm saying we don't have any information that anybody knows. So I don't, nobody's told me and nobody's told anybody. Everybody's kind of speculating. Maybe law enforcement know, or they may not even know, right? People may not even talk to him about it. But we do know that he's dead, but we don't know what happened to him. And if a person is being honest and digesting all the information that's made available factually, it appears that these young men whom they accuse, whom is listed on the GoFundMe, have Give and Go, was not there. Phone records, Life 360, boat records, GPS, all of that has them all leaving. All of them are gone. The 3 boats that came in with Nolan on one of the boats, that friend group were all gone except 3 people, including Nolan, were all gone at 4:30. People saw Nolan afterwards. So with that being said, why would you sue without knowing the conclusion of what happened? What if Nolan drowned? Why is your efforts having a civil rights attorney in a lawsuit pending or in preparation of a lawsuit if you don't even know if they had anything to do with it? And I just think that what happens with Benjamin Crump, this is my opinion based on a plethora of examples, and there are families that have reached out to me saying that he did him wrong. And I'll be trying to look into the validity of that. But like, he's coming in to do what? Not to get justice. That is a ploy. If you look at his track record, no one has gotten criminal justice. It's only financial payouts. Hands up, don't shoot. Michael Brown. Michael Brown, they got a payout. Breonna Taylor was justifiably shot, according to the law and according to all the information I had. He represented them, and he was all at their funeral. The young kid that was killed by Zimmerman.
Whether you're backing up your home, exploring the outdoors, or powering
Trayvon Martin, all of them, payout, no justice. He's not in it for justice. He's a civil rights attorney. So he goes into this, he raised it.
That dude calm, man.
And he's on to the next thing. I do not think he cares whatsoever about real justice. He should have never released that autopsy. He could have gave it to the family. He could have had them explain to the family so they know. But you go release to the public is negligence. And there's a defense attorney saying because he released it, there's no way that nobody's going to prosecute anybody. You have an autopsy that said it's undetermined, and the defense attorney explained all this stuff in an interview that I saw, and I was like, that very well could be true. So, regardless of that, I don't think that he is in it for the right
Good
reasons.
evening,
And
Fly
then he
Girl. Good
jumps over
evening,
to
everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening.
who was shot by police in Madison, that had an insane criminal record, that allegedly stabbed one of the officers when he was shot. Why is he jumping from
Good
there
evening,
to
Mr. James
there
Charles.
to here? You have the other young man he's supposed to be representing. None of them he's going to get criminal justice for. He's just going for the money, in my opinion.
Well, look, and you're entitled to your opinion. What would be the defense of Ben Crump? That he gets exposure, gets attention, make sure that it's taken seriously, make sure that people are aware. And the only remedies are civil on his side. He's on the civil side.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's not necessary. Like, for instance, like if you go back and look at this case, why would he be necessary in this case? When you have, let me explain this, Chris. This is what we have here. And this is why I think he's looking at money and he's exploiting the pain of some of these families in order to get money, in my opinion. But this is what we have here. You have a young man who's loved by everybody that dies. You have the family of the boys that saw him last reaching out to his parents saying, let's talk. We want to talk to you. The lawyers reaching out saying, Benjamin Crump, let's talk. I reached out to Benjamin Crump before I ever heard from these kids. I reached out to Benjamin Crump. He don't want to talk to me.
He does not want to talk to you. You know he doesn't want to talk to you.
He definitely don't want to talk to me now, but I will talk to him. If he wants to come on, though, I
don't want to talk to you. You trash him all the time. He doesn't talk to you.
And they trashed me. They trashed me. They said I'm not worthy of getting a platform, which is fine because I stand by what I say and we can have a conversation. Just say if we were on your show and he was on here, I'd say I'll agree to come on with him being on the show. He wouldn't. But anyway, but they don't go and talk to Warren's family. They don't go and get information. They don't go and ask that you delete the phone. They don't go and do any of the due diligence to find out what happened from the side that were cooperating with them in the beginning. Immediately, they go to a civil rights attorney. He immediately shut down communication with anybody on the other side. None of this had to be the case, Chris. Like, Trayston wanted to talk to the family. Trayston would have told them. That was me in the video arguing. That was not Nolan. Nolan's coach came out and said, I knew it wasn't Nolan immediately because I heard his voice and I know Nolan's voice. That wasn't his voice. Why would the parents and Benjamin Crump push that out to the media?
There's also a suggestion that your client knew the woman being called Katie, who may have been with Nolan Wells, may have been his reason that he didn't want to go home with the buddies who brought him.
Yeah, and so there have been a number of like just purely made up things, and this is one of the more egregious purely made up things. What happened in this instance, Chris, is that somebody literally went and pulled a picture of my client with a young lady that was several years old, and then misidentified the young lady as someone named Katie, who, according to other witnesses, Nolan was speaking to that day. Mm-hmm. The problem with this level of speculation, which has gone on to, essentially that my client had a relationship with this person named Katie, and it created jealousy that Nolan was speaking to her, and that is evidence of motive. The problem with that line of reasoning is that the person in the photograph upon which the entire theory is based is not, in fact, someone named Katie. And let me say this, because some news organizations have covered this point as if it's a he said, she said debate. Journalists are capable of actually figuring out who's in the photograph. Mm-hmm. There are people that they went to high school with who can tell you who's in the photograph. The young lady's mother can tell you who's in the photograph. The young lady can tell you who's in the photograph. We've chosen not to use her name because we don't want her to face the same ridiculous level of scrutiny and craziness that's going on the internet. But this is not a he said, she said. Like, this is a verifiable fact that the person in the photograph that's been used to create this crazy theory is not someone named Katie.
Right.
And it's also a fact that Bart had never met this person named Katie, had no relationship with this person named Katie. It's just literally people pulling things out of thin air.
That's the nature of clickbait. Sometimes it's well-intentioned. Sometimes it's curiosity. Sometimes it's cynicism. Most of the time, it's about click profit. And that's what works. That's what gets you the views. And you do not have the same kind of liability that I do at News Nation, or I do as a known entity, as a lot of these other people. There's not a lot of pockets tapped. There aren't corporations attached. And to that end, what we're seeing with you, Mr. Latino, is kind of the new normal, which is I'm going to hire an attorney if I'm Bart or his parents, and I'm going to go after the people who are going after me, put them on notice to cease and desist their disparaging and defamatory comments, and if they don't, I will sue them for the same. That has been your approach. Has it changed the disposition? I know one account responded by saying basically, bring it on, as if they were welcoming of that. What is your assessment of the situation and in response to that?
Yeah, I would say that ultimately issues like this aren't going to get decided on Facebook, but in a court. I would say that same individual did actually take down all of the posts related to my client.
And I can confirm.
While simultaneously
I would
also, not that it's my job to give counsel to people who may be on the other side of us.
Carl Snow, good evening.
Those posts are going to be evidence. The posts in which people talk about getting rich off of the fact that they're making defamatory comments end up as evidence. And I would suggest that it's evidence that federal judges
who getting rich off of this?
kindly upon.
Yeah. The impact on Bart, his life, how serious have the threats been? I know that there was a suggestion that his accurate address had been put out there. What have been the effects of the notoriety?
What if you could make a song using only...
Mark, I don't know what's wrong with you, brother.
And so the answer is that his address was put out there. Pictures of his home were put out there. Land plats showing where to find the property relative to other property were put out there. That's doxing. That's all in violation of some of these platforms' terms of service. But candidly, some of these platforms are slow to act on those things. Look, we believe the consequence of that and some of the things that have been put out there are the credible death threats that have been received both by my client and his family. I don't want to sensationalize those things because candidly, I don't want to invite other sickos into the fold, but they're real. And law enforcement has treated them as being real up to and including an arrest by the FBI on Friday.
And look, it is not a secret. The account, well, there are multiple accounts, but one of them is known as Kimbra Lee. And she has said that she stands by everything she says, but the posts and the content on that page has changed the last time I checked it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there have been things removed. There's also been additional qualifications, I think, in the way that it's getting presented. We know who that person is. That is a pseudonym, but we know who that person is.
It is often a pseudonym. It
Yeah.
is often that way. Not a lot of people want to own what they put out online.
So let me say this on there are like three levels of analysis here, right? To us at least. There's who are the defamers that are just making up things wholesale, right? And then there's a more sophisticated layer of people that we think send signals, who maybe try to skirt defamation, but actively send signals that some of these folks who are a little bit off hinge pick up on and run with. And then I think there's a third level. And whether this is moral culpability or legal culpability, we'll find out maybe. But the platforms that allow for the proliferation of very sensational conduct, defamatory statements, but candidly that have a design that not only allow for that, but that push that and that create both a profit motive for the platforms, but candidly a profit motive for the people who are creating that content.
Yep. I think, it's all relevant. And of course, the shame is that this, on certain levels, doesn't make sense at this point. But that's because of all the layers that have been put on top of the unknown. As an attorney, and having done this as long as I have, there's no way you're getting my son's phone. There's no way he's taking any kind of cognitive anything. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I would be suspicious that when you people, meaning law enforcement and the government, if you want to make a case, you're going to make a case. You're just not going to make it on my son because he said something that you can take out of context, or he got flummoxed by something, or he has some sense of guilt because he loved this kid. And he feels like, man, everybody's so angry. I must have fucked up. I'm not putting that on my barely baked son who's 18, 20, whatever they are. I got one of those animals in my house. I've got a 20-year-old boy in my house. And I could absolutely, you're not getting it. You want to come? Come. But I'm not giving it to you.
Yes.
I'll tell you that. And I know that sounds like I have something to hide. That's not why I'd be doing it. Even if he said to me, Dad, here's exactly what happened. I'm okay. I'd be like, I understand. I understand you're okay. I also understand why they're asking and what they're looking for, and I'm not giving it to you.
You're 1,000%, and I'm the most pro cop person on the planet, but there is no way that anybody should talk to law enforcement without an attorney. Like, even if you, because what happens is, Chris, is that sometimes law enforcement can be shady, right? They're
allowed to lie. They are allowed to lie.
We lie to people all the time. I mean, and we don't lie to you because we want to arrest the wrong person. We lie to you because we want to figure out how to get to the right answer. And people were mad at some of these boys because initially none of them had an attorney. They got attorneys later. Warren had an attorney right away, and it probably because his stepmother was a judge and they understand his law process. So they were like, no, you're going to get an attorney first, so they don't lock you in and say something and you accidentally say something, or they take some of your stuff out of context and you go to jail for something you didn't do. But the other boys did all of this, communicated with police, a lot of take the test and all this, no attorney. They later got representation. And so people are like jumping into the gun and saying, oh, why did they get attorneys? They must have did something wrong.
I totally understand why you would think that.
But in reality,
I get it,
no.
I'll tell you what I learned this lesson while we're in share mode.
Yeah.
Duke Lacrosse. I'm covering that case, and we never had any reason to believe that the prosecutor was a bad guy. And because we're not used to that. You know what I mean? They usually, if there's all this attention on you, usually most of what's coming out of you is going to be accurate and fair because everybody's watching. And all those boys went in there. They were told by the cops they couldn't call their family. They weren't allowed to alert the school. They have to come in. They're dumb. You know, they're just young guys. They don't know anything. They all went in. He got to take their shirts off. And because she said, the complainant had said that she was raping boys who were molesting her. And they all got them off. These are all lacrosse players. They're in practice every day with guys hitting them with sticks. So who knows what kind of marks are on their body. They all took their shirts off. They all did everything the prosecutor, and it turned out he was dirty. And he was advancing a bad complaint from a woman against these Duke lacrosse players who had made up the complaint. And when I covered that story, and we had big roles at ABC News,
good evening.
Justice correspondent, we wound up changing the timeline and helping the boys get exposed that this prosecutor was bad. And that's what happened. He wound up, paying the price for it, and all the boys got off, but their lives were changed. That's when it clicked for me that, I get it.
Like the only reason I only had one interview, I mean, two interviews, because the other boys and their families were very concerned that if they, and I talked to them off camera, but they were concerned that if they get on camera, which I've seen them do this with Warren. Thank God more people than not are understanding what he's saying. But I've seen people take Warren stuff out of context and lie completely about what he's saying. And so some of the other parents had concerns, and lawyers were like, no.
It makes sense.
One word that you say on a podcast, and then they twist it, and now they're framing your kid in a way that, and then his life is over. Because if they never get a resolution in this, these boys will forever go down. This is the reason why I was open to talk to them, because they approached me. I didn't approach them. I wasn't going to go out there or nothing. I didn't know these kids. I wasn't trying to interject myself in the situation. But once I started seeing things that didn't add up, and they said, hey, man, we would like to tell our story. We trust you. You've been fair in this. We would like to talk to you. I said, well, why wouldn't I want to hear from every side? And if they want to talk to me, in my opinion, I'm like, they must be pretty confident they didn't do this, right? And so I went down there and I talked to them. But, some of the other boys, and I don't blame their parents, because if they don't come to a solution here, which means that the autopsy remains inconclusive or undetermined, and there's no suspects that's come out, if they cannot determine that he drowned, then it's going to be an open book. It's going to be an open mystery. And forever, these boys are going to be framed as, you killed Nolan and got away with it. And that's just not fair if they didn't do it. I want the person, if Nolan was killed by somebody, I want that person to be found. Now, here's the thing that I think, I am suspicious still.
This is your third theory that's not fully locked in.
My third theory, and this is the theory that somebody may have done something to Nolan. Now, that's not my highest priority theory based on what I know, but it's the possibility that I'm entertaining in my mind. I don't understand this Katie situation, because this girl didn't really know the friend groups and nobody really knew her. And I don't know why they're just listening to her statements and believing everything she says. And she's the only one that didn't really know him like that. And then I saw some text messages where she was on the boat with people that none of these friend groups know. And so to me, it would almost make sense that maybe he hung out with her a little more and she know a little more than what she's saying. Now, I'm open to interview her and talk to her off camera, on camera. I told their legal counsel that we could talk, because if she didn't have nothing to do with it, I want her name to be cleared. But it's just still, it's like I almost think that maybe he may have been with people that didn't know him, and he was wanting to hang out with this girl, and maybe something happened, whether he got super drunk, they took drugs, he ODs or something, and they panic and they drop him where he was late, where a lot of people were gone. I mean, because we don't really know when Nolan died. They don't have a clue. Nolan could have died that night. I mean, Nolan could have died the next day. I mean, I don't know. And so I wonder, was he with the group of people that didn't know him well? He gets caught up in some drugs or something, and he ODs or something like that, and then they panic and they leave him. Because the other dead black kid that happened more recently, I think it was in Texas. That's almost exactly what happened. Something happened to him. He drowned.
Man, get this clown out of here, man.
Closing his phone in the water. And they were charged with obstruction of justice, or obstructing or tampering evidence. And so when you're young and you're dumb and you're doing stuff you shouldn't do, they don't know Nolan very well. I'm just this is totally hypothetical.
Right.
They don't know him very well, so they don't care. So if he ODs or something, they're like, we're all going to go to prison for this kid. And let's just leave him behind and let's get out of here like nothing ever happened. But if it was a friend, I think the friend would have been more concerned with his life than concerned with covering it up.
I'm not saying that Nolan Wells was a known alcoholic who was, fall down drunk that day. I've just reported what has been said on your interviews and others, that he was there partying with everybody else and that he was known to drink. So it's not like he didn't drink, and he was partying with people. Now, again, I saw on the
Of course they'll say that.
platform with the mother saying, oh, that's not true. That's being said about him. I mean, what's your understanding of this?
Here's one of those other things where.
Now, I will say this. Parents don't always know what their kids do, though. That's true.
Can I trust, not in the nefarious way, but can I trust what Mama is saying? Because Mama is contending with her son's reputation, too.
Gotta love Officer Tatum.
Now, anybody with
which is stellar, by the way. I haven't heard a bad word about the kid.
The kid was, I don't want to say a god, but he was a mini god. Like nobody has anything bad to say. No one. Matter of fact, his parents, I floated an idea.
Hey, man, now you just call this man a mini god, but you just said he's a drug head alcoholic.
Like, could it be possible that he was doing something like this and it was something potentially criminal? One of the parents almost screamed at me at the
Rowdy Work Boys. Good evening.
Never
Good evening.
would Nolan do anything like that. Nolan was a perfect kid. I mean, I'm telling you, even the other parents are defending Nolan. But anyway, the whole thing about drinking, Chris, come on, man. We know you're not going to Horn Island at 18, 19, 20, and you're not having a good time. There's a video out right now. We posted it. It's all over the internet. They pan the thing. You see Nolan in the water. You see everybody with drinks in their hand. You see another kid passing out drinks. There is no way that Nolan is not having a drink. And there are accounts that people told me that Nolan had a lot of drinks. Now,
that's not true, man. Just because you're on the island with motherfucker that drink. If you don't drink, you don't drink. You know what I'm saying? And again, but I don't know if he was a drinker, though. But I'm pretty sure people around don't know if he drunk or not. You know what I'm saying?
Warren said when he saw Nolan at 3, Nolan seems to be fine. People that saw Nolan after 3 said that he had been drinking. Now, nobody really knows what's the contributing factor, because you don't really know. You could be drinking a lot and you could be getting woozy from exhaustion. Because, Chris, I went out there for an hour and a half. I think I was at Horn Island. My arms are peeling now because I got sunburned. I wanted to take a nap. This is the sun just beaming on me, and I wasn't even drinking or nothing. I wasn't even in the water. I jumped in the water to get to the island and jumped in the water to get back on the boat. I mean, it was like a 20, 30-minute boat ride. And, man, I wanted to go take a nap. Imagine being out there for 6 hours. And drinking,
not hydrating, drinking
not
booze.
You just drinking beer and stuff.
Listen, I get it. I mean, I just thought it was interesting that,
but people, Chris, people this is becoming more than it ever should have been, because it reveals the internal racism that black people have, and I'm not saying anybody else is racist. I'm just speaking from black people. Every time you remember the Carmelo thing, you had people
Wait, first of all, this shit is insane.
saying they were glad that white boy got killed. People made rumors and lied all about this kid's character, and they defamed him and everything. Then you go to trial, and Carmelo Anthony was guilty. He was sentenced. It was clearly a disproportionate use of what he would consider self-defense. It wasn't right. He was wrong. He stabbed him. He admitted to stabbing him. You had an entire wave of the black community that if you decided you were going to say something about Austin Metcalf that was positive, if you were to come out and say that Carmelo Anthony was wrong, you got lectured. They called you every name in the book. And look at what happened in the case. I knew what happened because I'm a cop and I know what the laws are. This case is very
That's not true. And if you're a cop, you damn sure ain't good at the law.
similar. If you don't say that these white boys did something wrong, and I almost would challenge you, Chris, to try this, but I don't want you to try it because, you know, it can become ugly. But I almost want you to say, I don't think they did it. And watch your voicemails and watch your Instagram messages. You're going to get your life.
All right, well, let's try. I don't think those white boys did it.
Threatened. I just played like 3 calls that Ben Warren Hudson got. Dudes were saying, we're going to kill you. We're going to come kill your kid. We're going to catch y'all out. He gave $50,000 towards finding out what happened to Nolan. You know, it's a racial thing. And in our country, is completely divided on these topics every single time. And it's because these race hustling activists, they come out and interject race. Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf had nothing to do with race. It's a young man making a poor decision that ruined his life. No race is involved in this, man. We don't have any reason to believe any one of these boys had a racial.
Well, I agree with that. We don't have any reason to believe right now in what's going on with Nolan Wells. We have no reason to believe.
But Chris, why do they bring it up? Why would they bring it up?
I mean, we both know why they bring it up, because it was that initial picture is one black guy and a bunch of white guys, and it seemed like 5 guys went out, 4 guys came back, and it's the black guy. But that's the
not
initial image. Right, I know it's not accurate, but that was the image.
Right, and that image in some people's minds who are
and it's Mississippi.
Right. But see, but it's they have a race. They live life through a racist lens. I see a picture saying these boys went out. One boy did not come back. These boys may have done something they shouldn't have done. They made a mistake and they're wrong. They should go to prison if they have done something to this boy. I don't think, it must be something because it's white boys and a black guy. We're past that here. If you're intelligent enough, you should be past that. In Mississippi, I'm telling you right now, Chris, they can't name another comparable case that they say a black person was done wrong in the last 10, 15 years. A comparable case. Where do they have a case of bias where they have a white kid that did this crime, a black kid that did this crime in equal circumstances, and it's a biased transaction? They don't have it.
A case that we know of.
But even if they don't, or even if they did, it doesn't change where we are with Nolan Wells. We got to wait until this grand jury presents its findings.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that why there's no race involved in this at this point, but people are interjecting race because they're projecting what their own internal feelings are. I don't see white boys and Nolan and think racism. Just like I don't see black boys and a white boy and I think the black boys must have did something because they black. It's like, no, see, I know how kids are. These kids, they seem to be friends. They're on a picture together.
Listen, I get it. And look, I could disagree, but this is part of the weirdness of our culture with this construct of race that we made up in the first place, right? Because they cut you and me open. They're not going to know who's who. Okay, right. I mean, genetically, we're going to be the same. You'll probably have a better set of genes. You know, you're a little bit better shape. You look like you're aging at a better rate. But it's weird for me as a white guy. I don't get to tell you whether it's racist or not. I don't get to do that. Why? Because you can say, wait a minute, I'm the black guy here. You don't get to tell me whether this is racist. I tell you whether it's racist.
See, Chris,
those are the rules.
But see, the rules have been created to make victimhood in perpetuity and oust any outside voice that contradicts what people are saying. I don't care if you're white or black. You still got 2 eyes. And you should be able to see things for what they are. Black people cannot dominate the idea of racial bias. Like it doesn't work that way. Black people are very diverse and different. People grow up in different environments. All of us are not the same. All of us didn't grow up in the South. All of us haven't dealt with racism. So we cannot dominate the conversation and tell a white person, well, you can't say this. If we do, Chris, then black people can't say nothing about white people, right? Because that means that if you go, well, cops treat white people better than blacks. Oh, wait a minute. When were you white? You can't say what white people go through and what they don't go through. You can't speak on white people whatsoever. You can't say if white people are doing this and that. You ain't been white. So keep your mouth shut. If black people want white people to shut their mouths on
Man, this shit is insane.
black issues, then they have to shut their mouths on white issues. They don't do that. They dominate every issue. They can come out right now and say the biggest threat to America is white people. And they can be right or wrong. That's their opinion. They can be a team owner and say white people are the biggest threat to America. If you're white and you come out and say black people are the biggest threat to America, what's going to happen to your job?
Well, one's a majority, one's a minority. You know the joke of a black man, raises his fist and says, I'm black and I'm proud. That's a strong black man. A white man lifts up his fist and says, I'm white and I'm proud. You got a Nazi. They're different rules. They're different rules for the majority and the minority.
You know what? We got to break those rules, Chris. And I'm not saying you.
That's not true. Stop it. That's not true. Stop it. They killing it, man. They paid the real fucked up narrative right now.
Got to be the first one, right? We got to break these rules.
If there's one thing I'm not afraid of, it's controversy.
But we got to break these rules, Chris. We are the new America. We got to stop capitulating to ignorance.
I am more protective of the minority than you are asking me to be as a black man in America. But that's where we are. We can always have the conversation, and you and I will talk again. I'll come on your platform whenever you want, and you are welcome here. We haven't even talked politics yet, and Brandon and I have done 2 podcasts.
Cares whatsoever about real justice. He should have never released that autopsy. He could have gave it to the family. He could have had them explain to the family so they know. But you go release to the public is negligence. And there's a defense attorney saying because he released it, there's no way that nobody's going to prosecute anybody. You have an autopsy that said it's undetermined, and the defense attorney explained all this stuff in an interview that I saw, and I was like, that very well could be true. So regardless of that, I don't think that he is in it for the right reasons. And then he jumps over to Corey Ruiz, who was shot by police in Madison, that had an insane criminal record, that allegedly stabbed one of the officers when he was shot. Why is he jumping from there to here? You have the other young man he's supposed to be representing. None of them he's going to get criminal justice for. He's just going for the money, in my opinion.
Well, look, and you're entitled to your opinion. What would be the defense of Ben Crump? That he gets exposure, gets attention, make sure that it's taken seriously, make sure that people are aware. And the only remedies are civil on his side. He's on the civil side.
Right. No, just what I'm saying. Like, he's not necessary. Like, for instance, like if you go back and look at this case, why would he be necessary in this case? When you have, let me explain this, Chris. This is what we have here. And this is why I think he's looking at money and he's exploiting the pain of some of these families in order to get money, in my opinion. But this is what we have here. You have a young man who's loved by everybody that dies. You have the family of the boys that saw him last reaching out to his parents saying, let's talk. We want to talk to you. The lawyers reaching out saying, Benjamin Crump, let's talk. I reached out to Benjamin Crump before I ever heard from these kids. I reached out to Benjamin Crump. He don't want to talk to me.
He does not want to talk to you. You know he doesn't want to talk to you.
He definitely don't want to talk to me now. But I will talk to.
I mean, but why would he want to? I mean, let's be for real. Like, why? I wouldn't want to. Why?
Him. If he wanted to come on my show, I would
want to talk to you. You trash him all the time. He's not going to talk to you.
And they trash me. They trash me. They said I'm not worthy of getting a platform, which is fine because I stand by what I say and we can have a conversation. Just say if we were on your show and he was on here, I'd say I'll agree to come on with him being on the show. He wouldn't. But anyway, but they don't go and talk to Warren's family. They don't go and get information. They don't go and ask, did you delete the phone? They don't go and do any of the due diligence to find out what happened from the side that were cooperating with them in the beginning. Immediately, they go to a civil rights attorney. He immediately shut down communication with anybody on the other side. None of this had to be the case, Chris. Like, Trayston wanted to talk to the family. Trayston would have told them. That was me in the video arguing. That was not Nolan. Nolan's coach came out and said, I knew it wasn't Nolan immediately because I heard his voice and I know Nolan's voice. That wasn't his voice. Why would the parents and Benjamin Crump push that out to the media?
There's also a suggestion that your client knew the woman being called Katie, who may have been with Nolan Wells, may have been his reason that he didn't want to go home with the buddies who brought him.
Yeah, and so there have been a number of just purely made up things, and this is one of the more egregious purely made up things. What happened in this instance, Chris, is that somebody literally went and pulled a picture of my client with a young lady that was several years old, and then misidentified the young lady as someone named Katie, who, according to other witnesses, Nolan was speaking to that day.
Mhm.
The problem with this level of speculation, which has gone on to, essentially that my client had a relationship with this person named Katie, and it created jealousy that Nolan was speaking to her, and that is evidence of motive. The problem with that line of reasoning is that the person in the photograph, upon which the entire theory is based, is not in fact someone named Katie. And let me say this, because some news organizations have covered this point as if it's a he said, she said debate. Journalists are capable of actually figuring out who is in the photograph. There are people that they went to high school with who can tell you who's in the photograph. The young lady's mother can tell you who's in the photograph. The young lady can tell you who's in the photograph. We've chosen not to use her name because we don't want her to face the same ridiculous level of scrutiny and craziness that's going on the internet.
Anybody can do that. Just take the photo and scan the motherfucker and do a Google search or do a whatever search. Yeah, we know that.
But this is not a he said, she said. Like, this is a verifiable fact that the person in the photograph that's been used to create this crazy theory is not someone named Katie.
Right.
And it's also a fact that Bart had never met this person named Katie, had no relationship with this person named Katie. It's just literally people pulling things out of thin air.
That's the nature of clickbait. Sometimes it's well-intentioned. Sometimes it's curiosity. Sometimes it's cynicism. Most of the time, it's about clickbait for profit. And that's what works. That's what gets you the views. And you do not have the same kind of liability that I do at News Nation, or I do as a known entity, as a lot of these other people. There's not a lot of pockets tapped. There aren't corporations attached. And to that end, what we're seeing with you, Mr. Latino, is kind of the new normal, which is I'm going to hire an attorney if I'm Bart or his parents, and I'm going to go after the people who are going after me, put them on notice to cease and desist their disparaging, defamatory comments. And if they don't, I will sue them for the same. That has been your approach. Has it changed the disposition? I know one account responded by saying basically, bring it on, as if they were welcoming of that. What is your assessment of the situation and response to that?
Yeah, I would say that ultimately issues like this aren't going to get decided on Facebook, but in the court.
Not accurate, but that was the image.
Right. And that image in some people's minds who are.
And it's Mississippi.
Right. But see, but it's they have a race. They live life through a racist lens. I see a picture saying these boys went out. One boy did not come back. These boys may have done something they shouldn't have done. They made a mistake and they're wrong. They should go to prison if they have done something to this boy. I don't think, it must be something because it's white boys and a black guy. We're past that here. If you're intelligent enough, you should be past that. In Mississippi, I'm telling you right now, Chris, they can't name another comparable case that they say a black person was done wrong in the last 10, 15 years. Comparable case. Where do they have a case of bias where they have a white kid that did this crime, a black kid that did this crime in equal circumstances, and it's a biased transaction? They don't have it.
But even if they don't, or even if they did, it doesn't change where we are with Nolan Wells. We got to wait until this grand jury presents its findings.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that why there's no race involved in this at this point, but people are interjecting race because they're projecting what their own internal feelings are. I don't see white boys and Nolan and think racism. Just like I don't see black boys and a white boy and I think the black boys must have did something because they black. It's like, no, I know how kids are. These kids, they seem to be friends. They're on a picture together.
Listen, I get it. And look, I could disagree, but this is part of the weirdness of our culture with this construct of race that we made up in the first place, right? Because they cut you and me open. They're not going to know who's who. Okay. Right. I mean, genetically, we're going to be the same. You'll probably have a better set of genes. You're a little bit better shape. You look like you're aging at a better rate. But it's weird for me as a white guy. I don't get to tell you whether it's racist or not. I don't get to do that. Why? Because you can say, wait a minute. I'm the black guy here. You don't get to tell me whether this is racist. I tell you whether it's racist.
See, Chris,
those are the rules.
But see, the rules have been created to make victimhood and perpetuity and oust any outside voice that contradicts what people are saying. I don't care if you're white or black. You still got two eyes and you should be able to see things for what they are. Black people cannot dominate the idea of racial bias. Like it just doesn't work that way. Black people are very diverse and different. People grow up in different environments. All of us are not the same. All of us didn't grow up in the South. All of us haven't dealt with racism. So we cannot dominate the conversation and tell a white person, well, you can't say this. If we do, Chris, if we do, then black people can't say nothing about white people, right? Because that means that if you go, well, cops treat white people better than blacks. Oh, wait a minute. When were you white? You can't say what white people go through and what they don't go through. You can't speak on white people whatsoever. You can't say if white people are doing this and that. You ain't white. Keep your mouth shut. If black people want white people to shut their mouths on black issues, then they have to shut their mouths on white issues. They don't do that. They dominate every issue. They can come out right now and say the biggest threat to America is white people. And they can be right or wrong. That's their opinion. They can be a team owner and say white people are the biggest threat to America. If you're white and you come out and say black people are the biggest threat to America, what's going to happen to your job?
Well, one's a majority, one's a minority. You know the joke of a black man, raises his fist and says, I'm black and I'm proud. That's a strong black man. A white man lifts up his fist and says, I'm white and I'm proud. You got a Nazi. They're different rules. They're different rules for the majority and the minority.
You know what? We got to break those rules, Chris. And I'm not saying you got to be the first one, right? We got to break these rules.
If there's one thing I'm not afraid of, it's controversy.
But we got to break these rules, Chris. We are the new America. We got to stop capitulating to ignorance.
I am more protective of the minority than you are asking me to be as a black man in America. But that's where we are. We can always have the conversation, and you and I will talk again. I'll come on your platform whenever you want, and you are welcome here. We haven't even talked politics yet, and Brandon and I have done 2 podcasts. We'll stay on Nolan Wells, of course, to its completion, because Nolan deserves that in his memory, and his family deserves it. And frankly, we all do now, because it's a reflection of our society. Brandon Tatum, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your perspective.
Chris, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Space 44 super agents. The next thing you can't.
That was a hell of a perspective. That shit was insane. Listening to that shit was a bunch of crap.
I have to tell you, watching the interviews, what Brandon Tatum is putting out there is consistent with my understanding of the investigation. And look, someone has to know something. Someone had to see where Nolan was in the last moments of his life. Not necessarily if he drowned and went under the water, not necessarily when whatever took his life, but there has to be a fair reckoning of where he was. There are just too many people who are in too many places. And we have to believe or suspect that investigators are aware, and it will come out when the findings of what was presented to the grand jury, secretive during its process, but not thereafter, comes out. But what's race, what isn't, what's reasonable, what isn't. Brandon Tatum is a black man in America, and I am not someone, as a white man in America, to tell him how to feel about race one way or another. It was a weird conversation to have to begin with, because Brandon is the black guy who's talking about how race is not a thing, and I'm the white guy saying, but I understand why it is. For the family, for other celebrities of color in the minority community, how people feel about policing and race. So that's all weird, but it's a conversation that's worth having, because obviously it's influencing how people respond to Nolan Wells' death. Obviously it's influencing how people.
He even think Tatum weird as fuck. He low key saying like, "What the fuck is you talking about?" without saying, "What the fuck is you talking about?"
We're processing it within the true crime space. So you should have the conversation, and you should be open, and you should agree to disagree. And that's okay. How you disagree matters. And Brandon Tatum has come at me in the past. He doesn't like what I've said politically. I get it. He has his right to that. Even when I feel like he's been hard on me, I don't necessarily, not necessarily. I really don't treat people the way they treat me. I try to treat them the way I want to be treated, and I try to treat them the way that I believe they deserve. And that's what I do. I have the conversations, and you may not like who I talk to, and you may love who I talk to. That doesn't really influence me if I think that the conversation can advance our understanding. And when it comes to Nolan Wells, we are desperate for understanding, because this story makes so little sense on so many levels. Coming out of the box hot, saying this is tragic, we have the body, we have no proof at this time of any foul play. There was no need to put that last part that way. They could have just said, there was nothing obvious in our initial assessment of the body to explain what happened here. We are investigating. I think had they said it that way, this may not have escalated as quickly as it did.
So what I would say is I don't have the statement directly in front of me, but I think the statement was actually much closer to your version than the version that has been framed. My recollection is not that authorities ever came out and said there's just no foul play, point blank, the investigation is
No,
over.
they did not say it that way. You're right. They
And
said
so
we
I-
don't have any evidence of foul play at this point.
At this point, but it's an ongoing investigation, right?
Right.
And so I think, you know, that's actually not uncommon in the sense that, like, you're able to examine a body and see that there aren't signs of defensive wounds and things of that nature. I understand your point, which is people interpret it one way. It became a narrative as to, did these folks jump to a conclusion too fast? Well, what I would tell you is this, and I just want to reiterate. I think that people have every right to be skeptical. I think people have every right to have opinions about the quality of an investigation. I would say that a learned opinion would wait to see what the investigation actually uncovered. But people have the right to have those opinions. I think where it gets dangerous is when you presuppose a verdict, when you presuppose that certain people are culpable. So I don't fault anybody for asking hard questions. I do think that we're living in a society, Chris, where it is much easier to let our ADHD or our attention deficit get the better of us because we feel entitled to answers. Like something gets us fired up as citizens, and we immediately feel entitled to answers. His family's entitled to answers. The people in the community are entitled to answers. There should be transparency, but there are a lot of people who view themselves as internet detectives, and their sort of short attention spans are so consuming that instead of waiting for facts, instead of waiting for evidence, instead of waiting for the investigation, they create their own theories, their own facts that are completely baseless. And I think that's dangerous. And candidly, it's not just dangerous to people like my client, it's dangerous to the process. Let's assume in a case that there's actual foul play, whether it's this case or any other case. If you've got...
So you're leaving?
Yeah.
Will you come back?
Damn, that leads to a commercial.
100 theories that have been put out and then debunked. You arguably have created reasonable doubt if the investigators actually believe that there's something and someone to go after. I think that people need to think about this, not in terms of just the damage that they're causing to individuals who are innocent and are being wrongfully accused of stuff. I think they also need to think about it in terms of the damage to the process itself.
Yeah, I think that there's been an erosion over a long time. I think it's a balancing interest. For instance, I believe that other than some cases involving minors, I think there should be cameras in every courtroom. Why? Because I'm older than you and pretty much everybody watching this right now. But I remember when it was trust but verify. We are not there anymore. As a lawyer, as an officer of the court, as a longtime journalist, we're not there anymore. People don't trust me. They don't trust you. They don't trust these cops. They don't trust anything. And we understand why. Good reason, bad reason, no reason. We are where we are. Now I believe it's the reverse. You've got to have transparency. You've got to let people into not the investigative process, of course, but we have the other side of transparency. And now you have a revenue model that is based on speculation. I have no problem with curiosity. I have no problem with people saying, oh, this Russ Latino, man, he answers everything like a lawyer. I don't know. I don't know that I trust him. That's okay. That's a fair opinion. Lawyers are a little cagey. You can feel that way about it. And I don't like that Bart isn't speaking for, okay. And I don't know that I believe I heard something. It's all good. It's all fair game. There is a line that no longer exists, which was, yeah, but you're saying something as a matter of fact that is really just an opinion and is based on something that isn't true, that you know isn't true. That is now a common consideration. And it is all over the place. I believe it's actually, believe this or not, Russ, this will be hard for you because this is your world. It's better here than it is in politics. It's better here. You've got a better shot at defending yourself here than you do in politics.
Yeah, and that may very well be true. And also, I could care less if somebody looks at me and says he's a lawyer, so I'm not going to trust him. People can say whatever they want. I care an awful lot about the process being legitimate. I care an awful lot about the things that I think have made this country great. And we talked about this on your program, but we're celebrating 250 years. And Chris, if I'm honest, I'm worried about whether or not we get another 250. Because a lot of the bedrock concepts that I think did make this country great, if you're talking about the rule of law, if you're talking about the presumption of innocence, if you're talking about due process, those things are being dramatically eroded by a culture that wants answers now, or that sees things like this, a tragedy like this, as a game or a form of entertainment or a way to make money.
And the same fucking culture that you're talking about is the backbone that this country was built upon, that you so seamlessly seem to leave out.
And I just worry about our ability to persist as a culture if adults like you, candidly, don't step up and say, there's got to be nuanced thought. These things have to be based on evidence. We can't jump to these kinds of conclusions and ruin people's lives. I've said this from the get-go before I ever was contacted by anybody about this case as a lawyer, that look, if there was foul play, somebody needs to be held accountable. I just don't think you start with that assumption and then crucify people.
Yes, I do. We differ on this. That I believe the way the initial statement they put out, I don't think was worded the right way. I think it could have been done a different way. Now, this is stylistic, yes, but I think it had an emotional impact on members of the community, specifically the family, and probably a significant number of other Black folks. Why? Well, there's another layer to this. I haven't even said the word yet. Mississippi. And you're from there. You take it a certain way. It's personal to you. It's bothersome to you.
Hey, man. Hey, listen, I ain't really no big, who the fuck, I don't even know how to pronounce dude's name, right? Really, Cormo. I really ain't no big Cormo fan. Cormo, whatever. But rocking with what he said right now. Not all of what he said, but right now I'm rocking with what he said.
As someone not from Mississippi, been there many times, covered things that's happened there many times, you have an overlay of, oh yeah, the Black guy. You flip it and there's one white guy who goes out with a bunch of Black guys, forget it. It'd be all over the place. But now people are wrong to want to know what happened. There's a lot to this. That becomes a burden on the system, but also just proof of watching it. The overlay, the cultural overlay of this is Mississippi. If you flip the color ratio, everybody would be taking it seriously. But now everybody's being too sensitive. That's not fair, especially in this place and with this population. How does that hit you? Not as a lawyer, but as a denizen of the community.
So I think you said that some of that narrative would be bothersome to me. I mean, I think there are parts that are bothersome, but maybe not the ones that you would assume. Nobody in Mississippi denies the history of this.
I'm sorry, y'all. Oh my goodness, man. Look at this man sitting there lying through his teeth.
State. People are very cognizant. In fact, we're reminded constantly of the history of this state. And it's dark. And we understand the tentacles of that darkness persist today. That there's skepticism today because of that. What I would tell you is that the community that you're talking about in Ocean Springs is a community where you've got people like Nolan and like his friends and like Javon and Trayston who are just friends and that see each other that way. And so I think to the extent there's been frustration, it's been a lack of recognition that these young guys were actually good buddies. And some of the assumptions that are based in things that happened in the 1950s or 1960s are in fact no longer representative of Mississippi, right? I think that there is a universe in which you can recognize the past and because of the past, understand why there's skepticism or lack of trust. But the past is not evidence.
Yo, good evening.
The past might generate that skepticism, but by itself is not evidence.
Hey, thank you for watching. I post clips like this every day, so you can just subscribe and you'll get more without even having to think about it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's get after it.
Okay. Okay, real quick. So y'all, um, what I will say real quick is that I don't want to push the narrative of race. Like really, like so again, my whole thing with this, like, and I get it, and just like, the guy said, you know, it's hard not to exclude race in situations like this. You know, I get a lot of people. I see a lot of people in the chat. Well, what about when blacks or black? See, now you can't make that a race issue. You feel me? Because you know who did it to who, right? But when other nationalities or the ethnicities, you know what I'm saying, could be potentially involved in unaliving of another person that's not, of them. Yeah, the first thing that anyone would do would look at the race. Like, so a lot of people that's saying, I don't know why they turning this into a race thing or this thing or that. Because if a black man killed a white person, the first thing that will be coming out of a lot of white people mouths are, we know what's going to come out, right? Come on, let's be for real about this. Let's really, truly, honestly, within ourselves. I don't give a hell if you're a racist, a bigot, or you're prejudiced or whatever. Let's be honest about this, man. We have to be honest about this thing. See, and that's one thing that today's racism, I believe, and again, racism is racism, right? And I don't like it at all, or no level. But that's one of the things that today, that I think that we're dealing with. That racism is like, and I'm not saying it's good in either era, but back then it was blatant. You knew it, right? It wasn't hidden. But it wasn't as if you didn't know. The things were separate. You had to do, and I'm not just speaking about Mississippi because I know people, tend to speak about Mississippi and how things were down there. And a lot of people, when you think of racism or you hear about these type of situations and things, and lo and behold, it just happened to be Mississippi, right? But you think Southern states, racism is a thing that lives everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in a southern state, a northern state, a eastern state, or a western state. This is a perpetual thing that exists everywhere, and in many people. So we have to be honest and true within ourselves. And I think people who live today, we're not honest about racism. You know, and in some cases, don't get me wrong, it is blatantly open. But then it was open. You knew what to expect. You knew what was coming. See, now, since we didn't integrate it and we have certain systems and people are living and people then came up and it's a better situation for certain people. A lot of people like to say, well, racism doesn't exist. You have these things afforded to you. You have these narratives that you have now. It's not necessarily, a racist.
Hey, turn it off because
Not necessarily racist anymore. Oh, bro. This is not necessarily so racist anymore. And I'm like, we can't say that. And this social construct that society didn't put on us, because as far as identifying each other, like we come on, man, stop it. And again, I'm not saying that these boys did anything, right? Because I don't know nothing. I wasn't there on that island. I don't like the water. I don't do boats. I don't know nothing about nothing. So my job is not to speculate. My job is not to guesstimate. My job is not to investigate because I am neither nor. Only thing I can do is just look at the things that has been provided and presented. And again, I always tell you, I'm not a TikTok person, man. You can't just go on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and just see people talking and just assume. I don't give a hell if they black folk, white folk, yellow folk, green folk, orange folk. Now, I can say that, sometimes we can be biased with situations due to the inherent nature of our, understanding of situation. Because again, I have experienced racism. You feel me? Like, and I'm pretty sure other people have, right? But I don't take every situation or every case or everything that I see or everything that happened to me as a racist incident. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and it's hard. Like again, 4 white guys, one black guy. The black guy's on the line, and I tell people this throughout me. You know what I'm saying? Talking about this thing. If it was 4 black guys and 1 white guy, you know, it still would be the same, if not even worse. And again, I think those black individuals would be incarcerated right now, would be heavily pressed, regardless of whether they did it or not. And that's society of today. That's what we live in. That's what we know. And then you get the people in the chat, or you just get people saying, well, what about when blacks kill blacks? Why are you not outraged and this, that? Listen, man, some of these comments that I see, man, all people are dead. Just because you're a black guy don't mean you know what I'm saying? Like, fucking, I know white deadbeats. I know Asian deadbeats. I know Mexican deadbeats. I know deadbeats of all ages. And then you got to think about this, right? We're a minority that's getting reported and pushed in the media and on the news about our certain situation and our living. Come on, man. Stop this shit. So, and then, well, we don't report this because these things don't happen. Come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. Stop. But see, but we can't see that. So then when we get this, well, what they like to call conspiratorial or conspiracy, you know what I'm saying, type thing, you know, see how you guys are, see what you guys think. Yeah, that narrative is so fucking overrated. Stop. We got to stop. You know, we got to come to understanding, man, that we got to do better as a people, right? And we got to know that racism does exist. We have to know that white folks treat black folks like shit every day. Who don't know that? Who don't see that? And again, and I'm not saying that every black person that I know has experienced racism, right? I'm not saying that. And I'm not turning this into a racism conversation. I'm not trying to do that at all. But I do believe that when people try to negate the fact of racism being, most of the time, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, that shit is interjected in it, whether we want it to be or not. And it's going to happen like that, and it's going to continue to happen like that as long as we adhere to the social constructs of being black, of being white, of being whatever you identify as. This is always going to persist. These things are always going to ensue. We gonna continuously have conversations and argue about narratives and shit about race. The devil wants to kill every race. Yes, the race, I'm racist, bro. Everyone is you, me, everyone. He said every race hate racists. I wish everyone would take into consideration of generations of mixed children and the continuous division attempts. It's sad. And I agree, Miss Rita May. I agree because there are a bunch of mixing. He said, bro, they're not going to. They want racism. I disagree. There are many situations where whites, we jump and kill. Well, we're whites. We jump and kill. We're not going to make it chaotic. We want our loved one to our people. Huh? I don't understand that, Ms. Rita May. You disagree with what? You disagree with what? The devil wants each race to destroy themselves. I mean, I don't get off into that devil. That's not particularly my thing, and I don't care for that. That's fairy tale. You know, so people want to hurt and do wrong to other people. That's nothing to do with a devil. It's not something to do with you as an individual in the way that we were, you know what I'm saying? The way this society was catered and put forth fun to the people. I mean, throughout history, bro. Now, if you exclude us throughout this history, because again, we're not in this so-called history, right? I mean, we are in history, but you know, when you go to the history books, you hear about the Romans, you hear about the Greeks, you hear about Genghis Khan, you hear about all these Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Constantine. You hear about all these white rulers, these white people who go through conquering, pillaging, raping, unaliving, and forcing their way upon other nations and just taking over Spain. Plenty, right? And do you think that shit is gonna stop right now today in 2026 when this world or when this current civilization was built upon fucking chaos? Then when we talk about racism, right? But then if you throw in the transatlantic slave trade into the mix, and again, fuck it, we here now. You know what I'm saying? All the atrocities and all the horrible things that was done, and I'm not saying no excuse. I ain't saying I ain't trying to be no fucking victim. I wasn't no damn slave. But the effects are still lingering. The mindset is still lingering. The attitude, the approach is still lingering. And when we talk about divisive measures, don't know black people implement these divisive measures. We don't put these things into society. Now, if we want to talk about what we do to ourselves, okay, that's what we do to ourselves. And if what we do to ourselves is conducive to you, you know what I'm saying, staying on top, why the fuck do you even care? And I'm not saying it like, you know, that's a good thing. I'm not saying it in that way. No, please don't. I'm saying it in a way as if, you know, like shit, you don't care anyway, and you think we ain't worth shit anyway, right? So us doing that. So why even throw that, you know what I'm saying, or bring that up into a point of contention when it means nothing to you, regardless? Because you see it as a way of, you know what I'm saying, getting rid of something that's in your way, right? And I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm just speaking about some of the comments and some of the things that's being said and that I see in different chats. And of course, my chat. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be a thing of race. There's always. There's always. This shit been like that since the beginning of time, all throughout history. Nations go through conquering, taking over, total control, foot on the neck, oppressing others, taking prisoners of war in order to keep that power structure, in order to keep that control. Throughout history, throughout the things that you learn going to school and in these books, that has never been afforded to what we know as the black man or the black woman. Now, if you do some digging and you get into antiquities and you talk about pre-dynastic Egypt and things of that nature, and pre-dynastic Kebulon versus dynastic Kebulon and things of that nature, you feel me? You still don't get the stories of the war and the pillaging and unaliving of people that you get from the European construct. Right? And I'm not sitting here trying to throw these things in people's faces and say, but again, man, we have to realize the brutal truth. You know, people are fallible. People are not perfect. We are all individuals who think differently, who perceive things differently, who act differently. Some people agree on some common things, of course. Yes, true. To push a narrative or to focus on something or to try to get something done. That's true. We see that all the time. But this is a sad situation, man. And again, with this case, like, just solve the, I mean, I don't want to say solve, just investigate the case. I'm not mad at people for speculating. I'm not mad at people for guessing about what could have happened. I mean, even as an investigator in the case, if the investigators were truly investigating, I asked this question. You don't think those investigators are thinking, if they're really truly investigating, they're really doing their job the way they're supposed to be doing their job? And again, I'm not an investigator. I'm not a forensic scientist. I don't work for the police department, any of those things. But again, you don't think that they going through all type of things in their mind if they truly investigating this case about what could have happened? You don't think that the same speculations and things that the court of public opinion, as people say, you don't think these people are maybe wondering or maybe thinking the same thing? Not everything. But I'm pretty sure they're bringing some of these things into account, or they probably didn't. Like, even some of the things that we may have brought up, shit, they probably didn't thought about them first and might have ruled them out. And again, see, this case is so sensitive, man. I wouldn't put all this thing. Like, come on, man. We gotta understand. We're not putting all this, a lot of these things out into the public. It'd be an uproar already more than what it is. So I'm not even mad at the fact that they want to get all the evidence and submit it to a grand jury before it's made public. Now, I don't know the workings of what's going on with the parents or how they working it out with the parents, or are they staying in contact with the parents to keep the parents abreast and briefed on what's going on. Now if that's not being done, I think that's egregious, because I do think the parents should be part of the investigation process. Of course, even if you want to investigate the parents, because I've been hearing the nonsense that the parents could have had something to do with their own child unaliving when they weren't even there on the island. So now what the fuck now? See, here we go. Now what did the parents sacrifice this? We get the fuck. What is we doing? And I'm not speaking from I'm not speaking from a black man's point of view. I'm speaking from a fucking logical person's point of view. Whether you're white, black, brown, blue, orange, or green, man. Come on, man. Facts are facts. Certain things, like, come on, man. We got to understand. We got to agree, whether you disagree or not. I mean, but certain things are just certain things, bro. Like, come on. This shit is just ridiculous. This is fucking ridiculous. And we have to go through, and again, I state, a lot of these people that I play, I'm not a Nancy Grace fan. I don't even know who dude was, like, right? I ain't never heard of Officer Tatum. I don't do TikTok. I don't know none of this shit. I'm just watching, just listening, right? And most of my information or most of my rhetoric or the things that I speak about are from the interview that I seen with Warren, which I thought was bullshit, the interview that I seen with Tristan, which I thought was bullshit, then the interview that I seen with all of them together, and the lawyer, the defamation lawyer, the Cox guy. It's insane. So many things change, so many things. Then, like, I heard some legal counsel got changed for the parents, and they brought upon this one guy, and a couple other lawyers may have dropped out or whatever the case may be. Like, what's going on? It's just too much. And for people to sit here and say, well, why do they keep saying that, keep bringing the fact that it's Mississippi, that it's Mississippi, that it's Mississippi? I mean, listen, I'm not even finna go there. If you don't know, I don't know. If you don't know, I don't know. With the synopsis of the shoe being on the other foot, that means that's what I mean by disagree. White people don't go out and cause chaos. I speak respectably. My daughter and grandchildren are mixed in race. That's a lie. That's a lie, Ms. Rita Mae. Respectfully, that's a lie. And I don't think you know what the hell you're talking about. Because I know plenty of white folks that go out and cause fucking chaos. I see it all the fucking time. Young children. I see it all the time. So I disagree. And again, that has nothing to do with if it was 4 black folks and one white guy on the boat. I guarantee you that them black men would be in fucking jail. And I stand a million. I put my life on that. That's bullshit. That's crap, Miss Rita Mae. Respectfully, I don't want to disrespect your opinion or what I'm saying, or your voice, but respectfully, I think the world know better. And for you to say that white folks don't go out and cause chaos is insane. That's insane. I truly think those 4 white boys he went out with are guilty, but with thousands of other people left on the island, I do believe someone had more information about Nolan. And and again, that's another and that's another place where we disagree, because I don't necessarily think that those 4 guys actually did anything, right? And I'm not saying that they didn't do anything, but I just don't necessarily right now too much agree, because I don't want to be biased to the narrative of where it happened, the history of the place where it happened. And again, that seems a little bit off, right? Because we should know. And again, because I just spoke out about you, right? You get it. I understand that, right? But again, we just can't say for the sake of saying. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of whether I really truly believe they did it or not, we just can't say for the sake of saying that they did it. And then we can't put all 4 of them in the mix just because they know each other. It might have been 1 or 2. That don't mean, well, if we covering up and we don't say nothing, and that means we still know, but I didn't take part of the physical, actually put my hand. I mean, I get all that shit too, but again, we don't know what happened. And all these letters and things that we see, this Katie, this JBI, like, bro, like I'm excluding all that, right? Because my thing is this: because if anything did happen to him, it was too many people on that damn island, not to see him drown, not to see him get in a physical altercation, and then that's the hard part about this, because can you really go back and investigate and interview everybody that was on that damn island and ask them what they seen? Then they say, okay, well, when this autopsy come back, we're going to see if we drowned in the lungs, this, that, the third. And then, I get people in the chat that want to play investigative and say they this, that, and the third. And I challenge many people, if you're law enforcement, if you work in this type of field, I would love to talk to you. I would love to interview you. I would love to have a sit down with you. You feel me? If you're a forensic scientist, if you're a criminal investigator, if you're a lawyer, if you've worked in any type of penal department or anything in the system, I would love to sit down and talk. And really, and see, and that's crazy, because we never going to get an unbiased opinion. Oh, I believe all this shit is biased. Man, even when you go in these court, when you sit in front of these fucking juries, man, I don't give a fuck when nobody say, man, them opinions be biased. I don't even give a hell if it's a situation where someone wins. We human, man. We play off empathy and emotion, man. It's about who can put on the best show. Now, I will agree, the best way to stay away from that shit is to, man, not put yourself in these type of situations where you have to go in front of a jury. But that's a topic of discussion for another day. But yeah, man, it's just sad though, man, that Nolan went out with a so-called group of friends, and I really wish they would stop saying that these are his friends. I mean, he's not here to say that. I understand what they're saying, and again, of course, I would say that. Of course, I would want to make it seem like, what I'm saying, we were best friends. But it's only one person saying that. The rest of them boys ain't said that. And I'm not saying that makes it different in a case, or that's a clue, or whatever the case may be, But then, and now what I will want to touch on is the Wyatt situation. Oh man, we all outside, and Nolan is always with Wyatt dad doing some sidebar shit. Was Wyatt now let me put some shit out there. Was Wyatt jealous? Could it have been Wyatt was jealous? Could it have been Wyatt, didn't like the fact that every time Nolan came to his house that his dad took special attention or special interest into Nolan? I mean, that's something to look at as well. I mean, it came about and again, people will say, oh, just because he said that doesn't mean this, that, and the third. Yeah. See, but I don't make the Get Out references. I don't make the other bad movie references. I don't like to get off into that. But I mean, certain things come out, certain things are said, and you can always paint and stroke a brush to a canvas and put a picture out there. Now, again, I don't know if they did not do these things, but I do believe that one of them, if not all of them, know what happened, or somebody knows something. Somebody knows something. And again, if all this information goes to this grand jury and they come back like, shit, man, we ain't find nothing, what do y'all think gonna happen then? What y'all think is gonna happen then? Hopefully we don't get out here and start tearing this shit up. Because that's not going to solve nothing, and that's not going to bring nothing back to nothing. You said the detectives use hypothesis all the time. Facts, and that's what a lot of people, on the internet. But don't get me wrong, Tribal Jeweler, like, even with this letter that I just seen, bro, that letter fake as hell, man. Like, see, people do shit, but that's the thing. Because I get some of what they saying, bro. You know what I'm saying? And we have, and again, we have to. Like, even with this letter that was supposed to be an entry into a journal, Man, that shit looked so fake. And then even if I was an investigator, right, I look at the letter, but I wouldn't take none of that shit into consideration because look at the timeline and the length between these letters coming out or these text messages that this young lady saying that she sent to Wap the Bam. Why do all that? If you suspect it or you know this is a national case or you think something really bad could have happened potentially from what you've seen, I wouldn't be no. It wouldn't come out on no fucking news channel or that this was leaked. No, I would be talking to the authorities and telling the authorities what I know, what I've seen. And from there, I will let them do their own due diligence. This is why a lot of these things that's coming out right now, I mean, it's just hard to just say that these things are factual evidence. And I watched it, and I don't really watch Willie D. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, but I don't really particularly watch Willie D. But I've been seeing some of the things he put out there, man, because that's where the letter. Well, I say the letter. I'm gonna keep it 100, man. Outside of me, just if I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm a black man, and I think, yeah, what I'm saying they did it because they white type shit. You feel me? Other than that, I really don't be some of that shit that they be talking about on that band be crazy. It's crazy. And I agree, it's too many people on that island. Whether it was 1,000 or whether it was a couple of hundred people, somebody seen something. And then also they stated that no what it was Warren's mom was on the south end of the island. Now I don't know what how that fits into anything because I don't know if she said she wasn't there, whatever the case may be, or however that went. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. See, a lot as the case go on, and it's sad that it's been over 30 days, right? And then once this stuff goes to the grand jury, it's going to take another 30 days, right? This is two down there 3 months of trauma that a family has to suffer before an actual investigation of criminal activity takes place to find out what happened to their son. Some person posted in the chat earlier, you need to prove you got to have legal burden before you try to pursue this as a criminal case. See shit, people say things like that. If this was 4 black guys and this is 1 white guy, wouldn't be no legal burden. You would automatically assume that those young men were guilty. Not everyone. I'm not saying everyone. But the majority of this fucking world will assume that those young men were guilty. And that's how they would treat this case. And that's how they have been treating this case. Last video of the day, man, before we get up out of here. Listen, also, man, open platform, open forum. If anybody want to come up and say something, speak out real quick, real fast, you know what I'm saying, and speak a point, I'll give the people, man, because again, this is open platform, open forum. I'll give the people 5 minutes to speak. You know what I'm saying? If you want to come up and say something or just speak on it, whether you think I'm wrong, whether you think I'm right, or just your opinion, if you don't want to touch on anything that I have to say, just speaking about towards the case, period. I'll let people, you know what I'm saying, come up here and say what they want to say. Where they're not getting conviction anytime soon, the process takes years. OSR Envy says. OSRS Envy says. The process take years. I don't know how long the process takes, but I can look that up. I don't think that process takes years. I don't think it takes years. I'll look into that, but I don't think that process takes years. Why would it take years? I just don't understand that. Why would it take years? But again, I'm going to look into that. It said if everyone lowered up, and the rules were reversed, that one child had a prosecutor, they would also be doing the same thing, using everything in their power to distance themselves. It's no different. Really?
Head of NABJ, which is the National Association of Black Journalists. As you know, they gave Stephen A. Smith a distinguished award at their convention over the weekend. Stephen A. is not happy about it. He is responding. We'll tell you the whole thing. Just to make sure, Andy, make sure we have that announcement that we had earlier from when it happened live at the NAACP, the one that we cut together. Okay, so we have that. And then we have breaking news as it relates to the NAACP. I'm going to give you the story. We're going to have the head of the NAACP, Mr. Derek Johnson, on in moments. But here is the report.
If you sit on the toilet, bear down, and barely anything comes out, you don't have constipation, you have poop paralysis. And the difference between the two is everything. It's why fiber, laxatives, stool softeners, and enemas haven't helped. They treat constipation, not poop paralysis. But when you do this for 7 seconds, it all comes out effortlessly.
This is the quickest way to clear out stuck poop.
I'm going to show you why you can sit on the toilet pushing for 20 minutes and barely produce a pebble, and how to finally fix it. Look at this model of your colon. See these twists and turns? They run more than 20 feet through your body. Every inch of that 20 feet is lined with muscles. Scientists call them peristaltic muscles, but I just call them your poop muscles. And these poop muscles are what push waste through your system. They squeeze and contract like an ocean wave, moving everything from one end to the other. When they're working, you go to the bathroom in under a minute and feel completely empty when you stand up. But what nobody tells you is there's a food sitting in nearly every kitchen in America right now that quietly paralyzes poop muscles. Eat enough of it over enough years, and those muscles weaken and lose their ability to squeeze like a sedative, slowly putting them to sleep. Without
The NAACP now joining the legal team investigating the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells, adding its Office of General Counsel to a group that already includes civil rights attorney Ben Crump and the Reverend Al Sharpton. The NAACP says it's getting involved to push for, quote, truth and transparency. Wells was reported missing the night of July 4th after a boating trip with friends, and his body was found July 6th just off Horn Island. His cause of death still undetermined. Now, as questions grow, the family's lawyers say they're ready to immediately turn over Nolan's phone for a joint forensic search. They're asking Jackson, George County's District Attorney Angel Myers-Malcarath to pick a time between Tuesday and Friday. They've also asked for reconfirmation of the location for that. Both sides agreed back on July 15th to have their experts and possibly the FBI examine the phone together as the family presses for answers and accountability.
So that's where we are right now. The NAACP putting out an announcement this morning that we can put up on the screen. This is their announcement, and then there's a letter as well. NAACP, Office of General Counsel, joins Nolan Wells family legal team. Okay? And then we have the announcement also that we're going to talk to about Benjamin Crump. From Benjamin Crump, who is now, and a law firm working along with Benjamin Crump, saying that the forensic experts are on standby for a joint inspection of his phone any day this week. Okay, straight now to Mr. Derek T. Johnson, who is the CEO of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Mr. Johnson, thank you for joining us. Why are you getting involved? Why is the organization getting involved?
I think it's important for the family and the community to get answers. The local officials, the state of Mississippi, have not been as transparent as they should have been. Now that we have Kristen Clark as our general counsel, who served as DOJ head of Civil Rights Division, she's familiar with the procedures that should be in place. We have strong relationship with retired law enforcement officers on the ground, and we need transparency from our local officials and give the family some answers.
And there has been this narrative that was put out there, and I think they're trying to knock it down, which I believe was unfairly put out, saying that the family was somehow stonewalling investigators. But according to the letter, if you read the letter that they released this morning, they said, this is exactly what we agreed upon in July. And so, I don't understand why this information has been put out there. And that's all part of the investigation. What do you make of that?
There's more time been spent on deflecting the fact that there has not been a thorough investigation that the public have trust and believe in. If there's been
If they got paperwork that's saying that this was supposed to happen and whop the man, whatever, it's a ploy or a plot to make them look bad. The parents, of course, we know what it is.
thorough investigation, great. If there's a grand jury where information can be provided, that's great. But at this juncture, local officials should not be deflecting what's really taking place. We're talking about a state with a history of not valuing African-American life. We're talking about a state that spends more time worried about the perception of its past as opposed to reconciling the current reality and doing what's necessary. A child never returned home. A child got on a boat with a group of friends. A child phone came back with a friend, and that child, the next time we see the child, he's unalive. There are some questions that need to be answered. We have a sheriff who made assumptions before an investigation was done based on the words of the individuals that child was with. This should not be the case. There needs to be a complete thorough investigation.
How does the NAACP getting involved help?
Well, it broadens the ability of individuals who are receiving information. We have a bigger net. I live in Mississippi, so there are some deep relationships there. You have the former head of the Department of Justice and Rights Division with experience in this background and deep contacts. So it allowed us, along with the Trump team, to try to assist the family in getting the necessary answers. Because apparently the state of Mississippi and local officials have not been as transparent as one would have liked them to be, or they're simply doing things that's out of the view and has lost the confidence of not only the family, but that community who has been affected.
You live in Mississippi, as you said. Can you understand if let's just say there is some hesitation, which I think there is, because they want a joint investigation. Otherwise, they would just say if they had confidence in the investigators, they may not do this. But this is standard procedure to have, a filter team go over to set parameters on what you can look for between a certain timeline and all things, some things that may be privileged on the phone, some things that may not even, relate to what's happening. They want to make sure that that's out and they just don't have everything and start spreading rumors and stuff about Nolan Wells. So, I think that is pretty standard procedure. I'm not sure why people don't understand that. Maybe they're not steeped in the law. They just don't, deal with these things much. However, you could, coming from, I was about to say Louisiana because that's where I'm from, from Mississippi, can you understand the hesitancy, if there is, from this family to turn that phone over?
Well, the question around the phone is separate from the level of confidence that local officials have built with the family by communicating with them, being transparent with them, and allow them some level of insights. It is without question that the parents had nothing to do with the disappearance and then the discovery of Nolan Wells. But there is a lot to be desired in terms of all the people who last saw him. And the fact that the local officials was not open with the parents, not sharing progress, and pretty much shutting the parents out. That's why we at this juncture. How things proceed from now and the parents' hesitancy is all based on that initial 2 weeks and lack of communications with them to really build the type of trust and confidence that those investigating was taking this case serious and looking to figure out what exactly happened.
Do you have an idea? I don't know if you want to articulate that about what you think happened or?
No, we're not here with any preconceived notion. If it was an accident, let's figure out that this was an accident, this was happened. There's something more to it, let's figure it out. So we don't come here with a preconceived notion of some type of foul play or cover up. We are saying this community, that family deserves answers, and that's why we are part of it.
I want to know what you think of the friends doing interviews and also they're not even insinuating. One of them is saying that they're getting the treatment that they're getting. They're under the spotlight because of Nolan Wells' mom. Watch this.
One of the things that you learn in the Army, specifically, are the Army values: loyalty, duty.
to like his mom blasting us on social media from the get-go, saying that he was out there with Warren and another guy. That's where it first started to take off. And then also the fact that she posted a picture of me and Morgan and another guy and Nolan on the boat together, blasting that out there, pushing this narrative, kind of, I guess. I wish that would have never happened either. And I don't think those would have never happened. A lot of this stuff wouldn't have been as viral or gone all over the country at this point. I mean, this is a countrywide news story that is just blown out of proportion. And the fact that it was our best friend and it's not what people are saying it is.
Okay, so you get
is
it.
what hurts
They're
the
saying
most.
his mom blasted them on social media. You're muted. Say, repeat.
Yeah,
No, you're good. You're good.
All right. Her son is dead. They were not forthcoming to explain what happened to him. He had been missing. She had been inquiring. No one told her anything. They came back with his cell phone, but not him. She's grieving. No one is giving her answers. No one is responding to what happened to my son. And so this concept that somehow they're now the victim because she's pursuing answers. They're now the victims because she raised the conversation. And the conversation is now a national and in many ways global conversations. You know, it is unfortunate that any mother will have to go through the exercise of saying, my son is missing. And it appeared as if no one was caring. And the last people he was with have a cell phone, but they are not providing any response to what happened to her child. They are not the victim. Her child is no longer with us.
I think it's odd because they're making it seem like, and I reported this last week, I said it on social media and I said it here, as if Christine Wansley Wells is on trial. She's not on trial. She lost her son. And if that is indeed your friend, and you may consider him your friend, okay, but if that is indeed your friend, why are you blasting the mom? Why are you blasting his mother? I don't understand it.
Well,
Do you think it's a good strategy for them, the lawyers, and for them to be doing this?
You know, to go on that show and to have those responses, was that coaching? Was that preparing for some type of legal piece to shift the blame, to shift the narrative, to take the attention off the fact that her son went on a boat with them, but he never returned, and no one is giving answers, and the explanation that's been provided doesn't seem as plausible. But maybe there is some plausibility to it, but that's why we need a thorough investigation to figure out.
I want to ask you about this. This content creator has been defending the young men and also, saying questionable things about the mom. Here it is.
Bombshell tonight in the Nolan Wells investigation. Tonight, the timeline seemingly blows up. This as Nolan's mother is investigated. Why? And tonight, possibly even more important, where is Nolan's phone?
Well, from my understanding, authorities do not have it, and the family have not been cooperating with authorities to give the phone over.
Brandon, you may very well be a lot smarter than me, but I can hear. Okay. The statement was, we're prepared to cooperate, I guess, from Crump.
But it's best to have both cloud and the phone.
Okay.
To paint.
So he's been basically the interviewer. He's a far right-wing commentator who's, in many people's eyes, and I don't even know if I need to qualify it that way, is anti-black, even though he's black. He's always defending, white folks and talking shit about black people. I don't know another way to put it. And it seems like he's doing that with this particular story because nobody knows what happened. He doesn't know what's going on, right? And nobody's, as you said, we have no preconceived, at least I do, no preconceived notions about whether the young men were involved. However, their strategy is very questionable. And I'm not sure who's advising them. I guess that their attorneys and their parents are advising them, but I think it's a bad strategy. But this, he says he's an ex-officer or whatever. What do you make of his performance and what he's been doing?
Well, I wonder who's paying him, or is this about clicks? And it's unfortunate. We are entering here to try to be a part of a solution to help the parents get answers, to allow that community to understand what took place. For all we know, this could be a complete accident and people are panicking. And if that's the case, let's show that. Whatever the case is, we should all be lining up to pursue answers for that community and the family. and not point fingers, particularly if for some of the people who've been commentating on social media, they've never been to the community or into Mississippi. So the question is this about clicks or is this about someone paying him?
Derek T. Johnson. Derek, thank you. And I'm sure you're prepared to carry this all the way through, right? Now that you're involved.
But we typically don't get involved with these type of issues. It's not the role of the association, but unfortunately, we see a value of being involved now because Crystal Clark, who oversaw the Civil Rights Division, because proximity to what happened and knowledge around the local area. And so that's why we get involved. We're not doing this for any other reason but to get answers for the family and that community. I want to thank you for allowing me this opportunity.
Oh, thank you for appearing. Thank you. And it was good to be with you at the CBC last week or the week before, whenever we were there, because every week merges into the other. Once you get a certain age, it goes so fast. But it was good to be there with you and to listen to all of the folks who are out there who are voicing their opinions about what's happening in our world right now. So,
I got one question for you.
Yes, sir.
You got to call me Derek T. Where you get that from? I don't know.
It's because that's how. Okay, I'm going to show you something. I'm not going to put your phone number up there, but I will tell you that in my let's see if I can figure it out without putting it on here because I don't want to put your number on there. But in my thing, right? Nope, I'm calling you by accident. In my thing, you are on as Derek T. Johnson. I think that's how you sent your contact information to me. Somebody or you or someone at the organization sent me your contact information and it has Derek T. Johnson there. I won't say Derek T. I was just trying to be respectful.
I've been waiting till my friends and family start laughing at me later. Start calling me that. Listen, thank you for the opportunity.
Whoa.
What's that?
I just built a budgeting app with Base 44.
Guys.
Chris, what's going on? Good evening. How you feel?
Like early, late, and often. We appreciate it. Okay.
Take care.
Thank you. Okay, so listen, now you understand the NAACP is involved. We get action on this show because I said we have the head of two leading Black organizations, civil rights organization, journalistic organization, and we're getting to the bottom of this. We go to the top on the Don Lemon Show to figure it out. Just like they went to the top upstairs to go find stuff, we go to the top. As I told you guys, they are working. I'm just going to show you this. I'm going to do something that's a little out of the ordinary. They are working on our studio in there. Say hi, guys. That's why we're over here, and that's why we were really late this morning, just in case you don't believe us. Right? Is that what happened? Yes. Don't hit your head on the light. I know you've been doing that. Okay. So there you go. Okay. So I know there are the pups and there are the workers. I've been knowing Mark for a long time. I've been working with him. He did the initial setup for the show when we were in the studio. I think also we came across each other when I was at CNN, right? And you worked at SNL. Did you work at CNN ever? Some freelance stuff. That's how I know you. Okay. All right. So we want to get now, before we get to Aaron, who is the head of the National Association of Black Journalists, I want to take you to the streets of Washington, D.C. and our Washington, D.C. correspondent, Daniel Grimes. Because Daniel Grimes, everybody's wondering, where in the world is Mitch McConnell? Go.
Wait. When we sized both of us up, we lost the framing. I wanted to make sure to show the door just in case.
You got it. We got it.
I could pop into action. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Andy. So I've been here. Honestly, it's been a very quiet afternoon. All of the windows, the drapes, they're down, so I'm not seeing much. So I come to you honestly with a civics lesson, Don, because when was I last here? As you said, the older you get, the days kind of mix together. I think I was here last Wednesday or Thursday, but I was here and I said, listen, they would not put a detail. And again, today there is a security detail. That's the U.S. Capitol Police are here. That's the only kind of action on the street here. I said they would not put a security detail here for someone who wasn't living. And a lot of people said, because I said they wouldn't want to waste taxpayer dollars. And a lot of people said, look at this administration. They're consistently wasting taxpayer dollars. And you're right. The administration is consistently wasting taxpayer dollars. But I want you to know that there are three branches of government: the legislative, judicial, and executive branch. And the legislative branch is different from the Trump White House. And so what I was saying is that Democrats...
Well, not so much lately, but go on. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's fair.
Usually,
but in
right.
this particular order, the U.S. Capitol Police is under the Sergeant at Arms. That is a nonpartisan branch of our government. And Democrats, if they felt like there was a misuse of funds, could call for something to say, hey, wait a minute, we feel like y'all are covering up, which, by the way, would be a federal crime. If Republicans were covering up the death of Mitch McConnell, Democrats could call for the Sergeant of Arms to investigate. And so the fact that we ran into the Capitol Hill physician and the fact that there is a presence here, there has to be someone alive inside. Now, that is, again, my best guess is that Mitch McConnell is alive. Now, I'm not saying he isn't in there comatose. He could very well be bedridden, comatose, not able to speak, which is why we haven't seen him on video. He's been absent now for 2 months, over 2 months.
Yeah.
The best thing I saw was David Hogg. He commented and said, Democrats, when they come back from the recess next month, they should pass a bill calling it the Mitch McConnell Act, and they should pass a bill that gives people access to paid family leave, because we know Mitch McConnell voted against that during his time in the Senate. So that would be a great way for Democrats to fight back, to say, hey, you didn't want this for others. You have benefited from it. I mean, for over 2 months now. Let's pass an act in your honor.
Well, we have no indication that, the comatose thing, we have no reporting on that. And we have no reporting otherwise. So that's the whole point. No one knows. They just release statements, give these proof of life photos that we don't know if it's real or not, when they were taken, whatever. And if he is indeed capable of doing his job and is coherent and is working from home, which apparently he's not, because he's missed over 60 Senate votes, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Dozens,
if not
of
more. Yeah. So why not, do a voice recording? Why not do a FaceTime? Why not give some sort of proof of life where you can see him actually coherent?
Yes. No, I completely agree. I will just say, and the 2 images that were released, Mitch McConnell looked significantly healthier than he ever did when I would see him in the halls of Congress. I mean, he would always have handlers in the halls of Congress, would barely sometimes be able to lift his head up. And again, I'm not mocking him, because we all hope to be able to reach 84, I believe he is. All hope to
if we're
reach that
lucky.
age, if we're lucky, right? And so all we're calling for is transparency. Just make a video saying, hey, thank you so much for all of your thoughts, all of your prayers. I want to let you know I'm here and I'm alive, and I'm working from home, and I'm hoping to get back to the halls of Congress as soon as I can. That's all we're asking for. We know that you're not running for re-election. We know he's going to be done when this year is up, but buddy, you're still being paid by taxpayer dollars. So you owe the public, you owe the constituents in Kentucky answers.
Oh, Daniel, who's that behind you? What is going on?
Oh, let me see.
I'm joking.
I was going to say, I mean, there's not even
Gotcha.
I mean, Don, there's not even packages being delivered today. I'm like, geez, it is dry. I mean, come on. I want some action. I want someone to come out. Or
I thought you were going to say it's dead around there, but you better choice of words, dry.
I didn't want to say that, but I was looking even for someone to, like, you know how you get a little nosy, you see something action and you lift up your window and you're peeking out. I've been looking at the windows trying to see if anyone is just peeking out on the street to see what's happening out here, but I haven't seen anything happen inside, Don. So.
Sometimes when you walk by people's homes, you overhear things. I don't know. Did you overhear anything like, bring me my soup, or get me back to the Senate immediately? I'm ready to go back to work. Did you hear anything like that coming from the residents?
I heard someone say, I can't stand that Don Lemon, but I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure. No. Look, you don't have to go to Mitch McConnell's house to hear that. You can go find that on social media, turn on Fox News, call the Department of Justice. I mean, they will all call the White House. I mean, I love when the folks are like, yeah, hi, Daniel, we're talking. And you're like, so Don Lemon Network. And they're like, nope, sorry. And I love it. You ask him anyway.
The worst one for me was Lauren Boebert. She was like, oh, you seem so nice. Who are you with? And I was like, oh. And then she goes, DL, what does that stand for? And I had to say, well, Don Lemon. And she goes, oh, and I thought you were so nice. And then she walked away. And I said, oh, come on, Representative Boebert, talk to me. But
now, would she say that to Fox News, considering all the lies they tell and the shit they stir? No. So, she's, and by the way, look, Lauren Boebert, you better take care of your own house and your son. And all the other shit that you're dealing with, because, handle your business. Don't try to handle mine. And you know what they say, the moment you dig one grave, you better dig two, because the next one you dig just might be for you. So stop talking shit about people, because then the shit comes right back on you. I'm just saying, son, I'm just saying, underage, I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Oh, someone's behind you.
Oh,
Is this Mitch? Is this Mitch?
Oh, you think Mitch can run like that? Oh, come on. Now, Don. You're going to take that act to the Showtime at the Apollo. And yes, I know Showtime at the Apollo. I'm still reeling from what happened on Friday on the Showtime. So
yeah, your black card was revoked. I'm sorry. We'll see if we can get it back.
I'm going to have to drop.
I'll call in. I'll call in a favor. I should have had you on with the head of the NAACP. He could have really done you a favor. But anyways.
Well, you've got the head of NABJ. Maybe bring me on at the end with the head of NABJ. Maybe
Okay,
could
we'll
do
see.
something to help
I'm
restore
not
my
sure you're
credibility.
deserving of the black card, but we do have to get to the head of the National Association of Black Journalists. Daniel, thank you. Great reporting. Let us know if you hear anything from Mitch McConnell. This is really important. It affects the balance of the Senate, the trajectory of the country, and also your tax dollars. And the people of Kentucky need to know. They need to have a representative who is actually fighting for them, and they're being done a disservice right now. Okay,
Let me see if she goes in. I know, that's what I was checking.
No.
No.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
The head of the National Association of Black Journalists is here. First, a word from our sponsors. And we are back with Erin Haynes and what's going on between her and Stephen A. Smith. You don't want to miss it. Word from our sponsors.
Look, I'm busy. I'm on the go, just like you are. And I need a million people worldwide. Of black women.
And stands in direct conflict with NABJ's long-standing commitment to accurate, responsible, and inclusive portrayals of black communities.
All right. So that was the announcement on Saturday night. And boy, I wish I could have been there to bring it live. I wanted to, but I had an event and I was not in place to do it. So Erin Haynes, come on in here. Thank you so much for joining us, president of the National Association of Black Journalists. I thought what you did was really bold. I think it was, let's put it this way. Sometimes you need to hold up a mirror for people to see themselves. And, he responded. We'll talk about that, but welcome. And why'd you decide to do this?
Well, listen, first, Don, let me thank you. You were at our convention. You had to leave us early, but we really, really appreciated you being there. I hope that you felt the love from folks as you continue to argue for press freedom. And the first, oh, look at your little doggy back there. I see my little friend back there going up the stairs. Listen, we're a dog household, and they're part of this show, and I love that for them. But no, I mean, look. You are somebody that has been continuing to talk about the importance of the First Amendment, the importance of press freedom, and our ability to do our job safely and without fear of retaliation. So thank you for bringing that message to our convention. I felt like it was really important. And it's
you missed the other dog who just went up.
You just went up the steps. I love it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, look, our convention theme this year was truth, power, and Black journalism. And I think that we saw a lot of that on display this week. Your stopping by was certainly part of that. And frankly, the Thumbs Down Award is part of that. And it's funny because, I have been a member of NABJ for my entire career since I was a student. And so I've been around long enough to know that this is not a new award. I know it's new for a lot of people that maybe, kind of are seeing that viral headline right now. But this is an award that we've been giving out for decades. It's one of the ways that NABJ can really kind of hold institutions and public figures accountable when we feel like their actions are harmful to Black journalists, Black communities, or the profession. It's not something we take lightly. It's not about whether we personally like or dislike somebody. That really is the criteria.
Thank you for that. And I do have to say, I have to pay you a compliment because as I expressed, I had Jamel on this morning and we talked about this and I wanted to have Jamel on because she's worked with Stephen A. Smith. They were both at ESPN at the same time.
Yeah.
And she was we had a very nuanced conversation. She did not go in on him and disparage him. Much like I don't think the NABJ disparaged him. I heard no name calling. You were saying basically do better, right? Yeah. Do better. And sometimes, again, I believe that you have to hold up a mirror to people. But I will say under your leadership, I think that that NABJ is in the best place that I've seen it in quite some time, if maybe ever, right? There was, before you, I have to say, there were a couple of administrations or leadership that I didn't necessarily agree with. One of them, somebody who was there thought that they were the only person, that they were the only person who could speak for Black people, but not anymore. So congratulations on what you're doing. Now,
Thank you.
I have to say, Stephen A. Smith responded.
Yeah.
But this is what Jamel said this morning. Before the response, I want to play what Jamel said. Here she is.
Stephen A. has a very big platform. He has a very big microphone. And what he's going to do, and he's already alluded to this with his tweet saying Christmas came early. It's like he's reveling. He's going to revel in trying to tear down this organization. That's exactly what he's going to do, is that he is going to air NABJ fully out and realize that there's a good bit of the country that does not understand the value, the meaning, and the institution that is NABJ. It is the largest Black journalist organization in the country, over 3,000 members. I've been a member of it since I was 16 years old. This organization has meant everything to me. It totally is responsible for me having the career that I had, going to NABJ, seeing other Black journalists, seeing journalists like Stephen A. Smith in their positions come back to NABJ and come back to the convention, talk to younger journalists, give us some game, going to developmental workshops, being able to go to the job fair. This is an amazing organization. And at a time where Black journalism is under attack, I think the way that he responds to this is not going to be helpful, and it's not going to be constructive, and it's not going to get him to the place that you want him to get to, Don, and that is to respond in a way, or at least think about, why is there a disconnect? Like, of course, when you go to HBCU campuses, they love you because they're students.
Okay, so because he always says that Black people love him or whatever. And this was him responding, his initial response today. Roll it, Andy.
It is BS. And I get a lot of people want to pile on and they want to jump on it because you have your own individual feelings about me. I'm here to tell y'all are entitled to that. Not the NABJ. You're not entitled to that. This is me we're talking about here. I am the same guy.
This is how you can uncover all the secrets of your
that brought a nationally televised show to a journalism conference, which is the NABJ, the last 2 years. Did you have anything to say about me then? Did I get a thumbs down then? First Take, a nationally televised show, which has been #1 for 14 straight years.
Okay, you get the point. Yep. And then you get the point, like, okay, yes. However, the NAACP has checked me on, I'm just going to say on shit. And you know what? I just took it in stride and said, okay, let's see if there's any, if there's any credence to it, right? And then I either self-corrected or just said, okay, I don't think it's right. I didn't go out and blast the NABJ. I kept saying NAA because I had, before you were on, Derek Johnson was on. So I'm getting NAA, NAA.
Your acronyms are conflating.
Yeah, that's right. They're very similar. So, so I don't understand that it bothers me when people think like, well, I'm Black, I can't be racist, or I can't say racist things, or I can't make a mistake as it relates to my criticism of Black people. Yeah. That is not true. Yeah. And just because you've done a whole lot of great things, sometimes those bad things are detrimental and they can overshadow that. And you need to, like I said, hold up a mirror and say, look, brother, we're not calling you out of your name. We're just giving you a thumbs down because right now what you're doing is not helping us. John, and it's not fair.
I appreciate you saying that because, when you were criticized, you heard that criticism for what it was, right? It's not just about calling you out. People were trying to call you in as somebody who we do see as a member of community. And the same is true of Stephen A. Smith. Listen, I had a chance to listen to his responding to us giving him the thumbs down award. And it's clear that, he seems to think that us giving him this award means that we think that he is now some kind of enemy of NABJ. Nothing could be further from the truth. Like, we know that, for me, at least as president, this award doesn't have to be the end of the conversation. It can be at the beginning of one, right? He is a product of NABJ. He talks about getting his start in journalism from NABJ, getting to, his job at the Philadelphia Inquirer with the help of one of our founders, right? So this is somebody, if NABJ raised you, then you are somebody that we think can know better and do better. And so, what that relationship means is that, you certainly have the benefit of the doubt in terms of our ability to believe that you can be accountable and make change, but that does not exempt you from criticism. I respect that he has brought First Take to our convention. Certainly our young people benefited from that. He has been there for our young people. He's been active in the organization, but just because we're in relationship, like, that doesn't mean immunity from accountability. Like, if we are in community, we have to be able to celebrate each other and challenge each other. And so that really is kind of the point of this for me. I mean, same thing with, I heard him, talking about all of his accolades and achievements. He's getting ready to be inducted into the Broadcast Hall of Fame. His success and influence are undeniable. We're not talking about that, right? But that is exactly why the standard matters, because, just to Jamel's point, the bigger the microphone, the greater the responsibility that he has. So, that really is what it's about for me.
Yeah. Now, on his show, he is, as I said, he responds directly to you. Yeah. And I'm going to get your response after hearing this. Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
Disparaging black women is a very incendiary thing to say. If you felt that adamant about it, President Haynes, how come I never got a call? How come the NABJ never reached out to me to have a conversation? And you would go on stage, Ms. Haynes, and accuse me of disparaging black women with no evidence, just your feelings. This is shameful.
Okay. Let me just play this. This is him on Jasmine Crockett and I think Joy Reid and others. Andy, do we have that?
Yes, here it is.
Thank you.
Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself. I'm like, is that going to help your district in Texas? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work.
I believe Kamala Harris's political career is over, but this was the last straw. And I'm going to tell you why. Because although I'm certainly not an advocate of her diming out her boss and talking about whatever deficiencies he may have had, you could have said something. You could have done something other than what you did. And I don't want to hear about 107 days and that's all you had. You know what 107 days gave you? It gave you the opportunity to take over the campaign and do it your way instead of capitulating to what his people wanted you to do and you doing whatever you thought was necessary under the realm or the guise of loyalty and costing and in some people's eyes costing yourself the presidency.
Okay, that. And then we have this, because he's saying there's no evidence, okay? Well, and I'll talk about the nuance and all of it. And then we have this, which is Serena Williams. He says, Stephen A. Smith says he would divorce Serena Williams for her Super Bowl halftime appearance. If I'm married and my wife is going to join trolling her ex, go back to his ass because clearly you don't belong with me, Stephen A. Smith said on ESPN's First Take. Okay, no, he said that on the show. Now, is that not disparaging? And by the way, her husband had a few words for him and they tried to shut him up on the show. I'm just saying there is evidence of it. And whether you agree with him or not, there is a way to do that. And look, a lot of people were offended by it, but especially black women. So if black women hear that and it repels them, then there is something wrong, which is what he tries to tell, what he's trying to say to Kamala Harris, which is what he's trying to say to Jasmine Crockett, which he's trying to say to Joy, which he said about me and others about the way that we approach our work. Yeah. Well, the same thing can be said of him right now. You know what I'm saying?
No, I absolutely take what you're saying. And listen, certainly, NABJ was among the institutions that was hoping that he would not continue with these kinds of remarks and with these kinds of with this kind of rhetoric specifically against Black women. That is not something that happened. As you clearly are outlining, there is a pattern here, and that is the pattern that I really felt compelled to address, and that this board felt the need to address as president. I will say again, NABJ did not make this decision casually, right? Like we definitely stand behind the award and the concerns behind it. And I am willing to discuss those concerns directly with him, but the pattern speaks for itself. And it's a pattern that we felt compelled to address because of what kind of rhetoric what this kind of rhetoric enables and really normalizes, right? Particularly when it comes to powerful Black women. We're seeing this from the highest levels of our government in addition to, what we had to call out this weekend. So this recognition wasn't about one comment or one moment. You showed that. This is about a broader pattern and the responsibility that really comes with having a significant platform. Don, if it was you doing this, we'd be in the same place, right? And hopefully we'd be having a conversation about this.
But we would be on the phone about it. I mean, or talking about it. I would say, hey, whatever. But yeah, go on. But before that happened, though, Aaron, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
That was a series of things. During the first one, you know what I mean? I would have been like, I don't know if I would have gone on with a series of those.
Yeah,
in succession.
And that's just the thing, right? I mean, look, no, it's cool. We are where we are now. Our hope is that this leads to a meaningful dialogue and meaningful change, right? Not just as it pertains to Stephen A., but really for anybody that has a platform that is disrespecting or diminishing or undermining Black women. So, I mean, that really is what it is about for me. And look, I get it. Like, again, this is somebody who has been around NABJ for a long time, who has gotten from and has given back to our beloved organization. And I hear that this landed differently because it came for us. That matters to me. And that's why I feel like there's an opportunity here. Like, he has a real history with NABJ, and I hope that our voice matters to him too, because yes, we can celebrate your success, but also that is what gives us the credibility to really challenge him in this moment, because we're in community, and that's what community is supposed to be. But I hope the reason that this lands differently is because NABJ does matter to him, and I feel like I heard that too in his remarks. So if we matter to him when we celebrate his success, I hope we matter to him when we say, look, Stephen, we need you to hear us on this. That's what community is supposed to be able to do. I don't take any pleasure in him feeling some type of way. That wasn't the purpose of this, right? But sometimes, hopefully, accountability from people whose respect matters to you is uncomfortable. And the question is really, what do you do with that discomfort?
Look, I believe leaders have to do hard things. And as you said, it wasn't easy for you. And so, but I respect that you had the guts to do it, right? And the professionalism to do it, and the leadership abilities to be able to do it. Now, he is saying that he reached out to you and you responded. I'll let him, and then we'll hear from you.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, before I tape this show, I reached out last night and asked the president of the NABJ to come on this show to have a conversation with me about her assertions that she articulated on that stage. Do you know what she said to me, ladies and gentlemen? She'd rather have a private off-the-air conversation first. Oh, really? So you can go on a public platform, denigrate me, make these accusations against me without calling. But when I challenge you to come on here face to face and have a conversation with me, now we want a private conversation. Before, nah.
But is that so unusual?
No. And listen,
to sit down and say, look, I just wanted to be constructive. I don't want to get on there and yell with you.
Not at all. And look, Don, I never said that I was unwilling to have a public conversation with him. What I said was, I don't believe the first step should be for the president of NABJ to go on his platform. So I was offering a private conversation because, for me, accountability begins with listening. And from there, we can talk about what meaningful public engagement might look like. But I mean, if the conversation is only worth your time because the cameras are on, then we may have different definitions of accountability. A rebuttal is not accountability. I mean, let's be clear. I mean, because I do welcome this conversation. I said in my remarks on Saturday night, the door is open and the opportunity is available here. But I think that when that just has to mean coming onto your platform, that really cannot be the point of this for us. But I continue to say, I wanted to talk privately first, because what I'm hearing is that if this feels personal because NABJ is meaningful to you, like, I don't feel like the most constructive first response is to turn, you feeling some type of way into a televised confrontation. So, like, I would much rather, have a conversation with you and say, look, here's what we see. Tell me what you see, and let's talk about whether you can hear why your community is raising this with you. I mean, he acts like the NABJ is the only place that this concern is coming from. It's absolutely not.
True that. Aaron.
I was the first one to ever join.
Thank you. And Bill, look, I don't know if I can offer any help. I don't know. If you need me to broker something, but I need to work out my issues with him as well, because we're beefing. But I do understand wanting to have a private conversation first, because you don't want to go on there and then it ends up to be a gotcha clickbait moment, a la what's his name, Piers Morgan. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be constructive. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, yes, I mean, this can be, again, an opportunity because he asked on the show, what does this have to do with journalism? What this has to do with journalism is because this is about what we normalize. So when you have commentary that is repeatedly framing Black women as unqualified or undeserving of authority, like, it doesn't just affect the person that we're talking about. It helps to normalize a way of seeing Black women for audiences, for newsrooms, for the next generation of these young journalists that are watching platforms like his and learning what journalism and commentary is supposed to look like. So, help us be part of the solution. Help us to use your platform as part of how we do this differently, instead of being part of a pattern that is harmful. Yeah. Well, Aaron Haynes, I believe the best president of the NABJ since I have been there. I can't even remember. I've been a member since 1990 something. I'm old.
Listen, we've been at this for a minute, and I appreciate you for still being on the front lines for these folks that need you to tell the truth. So thank you for what you are doing. Keep fighting. Keep speaking out for press freedom. We say, I'm gonna get you a mug down, one of our new mugs that says the First Amendment is not optional, because I know you know that. We're not doing it.
Yeah. Because of your leadership, I'm going to go update and renew and fix my membership, all that stuff. Just make sure it's still there. It's still on and popping.
You are current. So you're good to go.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate it. President of the NABJ. And let me know if you guys work something out, because I would love to discuss. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice job. What a great job. She's a really great president for the organization. Okay. So Stephen A. Smith, talked about Serena Williams. And then Serena Williams' husband was on ESPN. I don't know if you saw that. And he threw some shade. And I think Stephen, well, you'll wait till you see Stephen's response. First, a word from our sponsors.
Answer me this. How do we get to a place where people can work harder, produce more, make somebody else richer, and still feel like they're falling behind? That's what bullies, parasites, and slaves gets into. George Koch is a former high-tech executive who looks at exploitation, being underpaid, what happens when workers object, and how these systems develop. But he doesn't just complain about the problem. He proposes something different: mutual care. Meet the needs we all have in common, protect each other's rights, and everybody has a better chance to thrive. So you may agree with him, you may argue with him, good. And you must want him, and no man would want that kind of thing. Okay. And then, so Serena Williams' husband was on ESPN, and I want you to see this exchange between him, the husband, and another co-host. Here it is.
Well, also too, Stephen A. Smith, I think you had some marriage advice for me. Is that right? Or
well, you know what? Listen, I did it. People, headlines are headlines. We can get into that another time, but I was
hoping you were.
Okay. Pause. We can get into that another time. And basically, he was like, the husband was like, no, let's get into it now. This man has cojones. Because he's like, no, come on. And then Stephen's like, oh my God. Now, he did apologize, but anyways, I think it's good. But anyway, this man is 10 toes down for Serena. Keep going.
Here. I am not qualified. Married? Right. Oh, no, not me. Well, I ain't qualified, my brother. I'm not qualified.
I was going to ask, because you hadn't been married before, right?
I am married.
No. See, okay. Yeah, because I give advice to plenty of founders who want to build billion-dollar companies. And the reason I do that is because I build billion-dollar companies.
Yeah.
So I generally try to stay in my lane of advice.
Then we'll talk marriage advice later. I'm 13 years strong. We got you. Alexis, thank you so much.
You got what he was saying. You're not married or whatever. Stay in your lane. You give marriage advice once you are married and in a successful long-term relationship. That is hilarious. And yeah, I know that's right. And that's why he's 10 toes down. And you know what? He reminded me of somebody else that's in an interracial marriage and is 10 toes down. Oh shit, look at that. If you want me to mess with me, you got to come through him. You got to come through both of us. And same thing with Serena. You want to mess with Serena, you got to go through both of them. I'm just saying. Stephen A. Anyways. All right. Crazy. There was something else I wanted to play. Do we have anything else from Stephen A. Or that I did not get to? Because we had some great material in here. I want to make sure that I get to all of it. He said the NABJ board was clearly. Did we play that one? People are expecting me to go nuclear.
We did not play that one.
Which one? Nuclear or?
Both, actually. We did not play either.
Okay, let's try it.
Which one?
Either one. Dealer's choice.
Now, I know there's a lot of people that are expecting me to go nuclear. And the reality of the situation is I just might. But at this particular moment, that's not my inclination. I want to tell you first off, before I say anything, I heard them loud and clear. I'm listening. I'm far from perfect. And I will always strive to do better on behalf of my community, for the journalism community, and beyond. In the days and the weeks and the years to come. But that doesn't mean
that I'm not going to address what was said about me with the fervor that it deserves.
Okay. Now, fair. He said he's listening and he's learning. But I do agree with Jamel Hill that he's relishing in this. And I'll give up my whole synopsis of the whole Stephen A. Smith situation after this. Here's what he said about apologizing to Serena and such.
The board, however, clearly engaging in personal attack, does not deserve such credit. What you did to me is beneath the organization. Where are your facts? You want to bring up Serena Williams? I apologize for that. I'm on national television. I'm flipping with it, joking around with the other fellas. And I basically was saying it really wasn't about her. It really was about her husband. No disrespect, because I was simply pointing out no man wants to see his woman exerting that kind of energy, meaning being on center stage on Super Bowl Sunday for an ex. That's all I was trying to say. But I realized my presentation.
Pause, please. It's not about her, but he's using her to make a point about somebody else's woman. Okay, Stephen. And I want to be fair here. Serena Williams is a grown-ass woman. And she's not, I know what you say, my woman. She's not anybody's woman. She's his wife. But she's accomplished in her own right. She is the GOAT. She has broken records, world records. One of the I don't have to tell you this. You're on ESPN. She is one of the supreme athletes of all time worldwide. And so if you're using her to make a point to her husband, why not? Why even do it? Because you're using her. You're saying something that she did that you didn't like or you wouldn't stand for as a man. That's disparaging to her and to her husband. Come on, Stephen, you know that, man. And if you don't, okay, then that's a whole other problem. Keep going.
Could have been better. I apologize for that before. I'll apologize for that now. What else you got?
Good. I think that's good. And so let me just say this about Stephen A. Because Stephen A. and I have how would I qualify this relationship right now? We have issues. Let's put it that way. Not because I don't respect what Stephen A. has accomplished. I do respect what Stephen A. has accomplished. I don't think that Stephen A., in my opinion, respects what I have accomplished long before he was even in the game. I've been doing this since the 1990s. I was on national television in 2001, 2002 as an NBC correspondent. So I've worked my ass off, and I didn't do it by disparaging people. And, you know, and as he said, nobody's perfect. I was not perfect about it. I've said that there were ways that I could communicate better. But after CNN let me go, he came on talking about it was ratings. It was none of that. He had no idea. Go look at the ratings now, and then go look at my ratings. They would kill for the ratings that I had. And the reason that I was on for 2 hours is because the ratings were good and the audience wanted me for 2 hours at night. Nobody else did that but me. He doesn't understand what was orchestrated behind the scenes for me. He should, but he acts like he doesn't. But he's going to, you know, your ratings are like that. You can say, what are you talking about? What ratings? What are you talking about? Everybody in cable and broadcast was down after the election. Every single person. And the people, if they wanted to talk about ratings, they talked about the ratings of the people that they wanted to get rid of. Because I don't see anybody else anywhere on CNN, MSNBC, or MS Now, or Fox News, or whatever. Well, Fox News is, you know, that's a whole different thing. It's a call. But I don't see anybody, any of those people with any higher ratings than me, or Joy Reid, or Tiffany Cross, or anyone. As a matter of fact, most of them are more. But they are the best journalists in the world. That's not to disparage them. I'm just saying, Stephen, know what we're talking about. I believe CNN had the best news organization in the world at one point until the management changed. And then it became questionable. When I was working there and I started hearing people on the street coming up to me saying, what is going on with CNN? Like, have they become MAGA? Are they going to the right? Like, what is it? I can't watch it anymore. And guess what? I stopped watching it when I was there because of that. That's when I started watching YouTube. I'm just saying. So Stephen A. talks about things that he has no idea about. Joy Reid had really good ratings. I think she was one of the tentpoles on MS, it was in MSNBC then, on their prime time. Whether you liked her or not, whether I agreed with what Joy Reid said or what, and just be honest with you, whether I agree with what Joy Reid said or Megyn Kelly or Chris Cuomo or Sean Hannity or whoever. And the reason I name those people is for a reason. You may not agree with him. He's always on Sean Hannity's show. He's always on Chris Cuomo's show, I hear. So, but because those people actually have something that cannot be taught.
Whoa. What's that? I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
You have it or you don't. Joy Reid is a talent that cannot be taught. Rachel Maddow has a talent that cannot be taught. As much as I dislike her, what she's doing, Megyn Kelly has a talent that cannot be taught. Same thing with Chris Cuomo, same thing with Sean Hannity, same thing with Tucker Carlson. You cannot teach that. You can teach people to be journalists and to sit there and read the teleprompter and write their questions down and ask this and stand up and be stone-faced and don't like to respond. But you cannot teach people certain things. It's called a je ne sais quoi. There's a charisma. There's something that makes you want to watch those people. More people would watch me, I believe, who didn't like me than who did. And they will say to you, I don't always agree with what you said, but man, I sure loved watching you. You cannot teach that. So Stephen A., same thing. Stephen A., this is why I'm going with this. Stephen A., I love and I respect what you have accomplished. You have that thing that I'm talking about. Be aware that you have that thing. Be aware of the podium and that you have. Be aware of the microphone that you have. And if your words cause people to, if they reflect rather than draw people in, there's a problem. If Black women are telling you that they have a problem with what you're saying about Black women, think about it. You said that you have. But just be aware. Now, I'm not saying that you aren't, but sometimes you need to hold a mirror up to people and you need to tell them. Be aware of what you're doing. And it's hurting people. The people who want to support you more than anything, the people who have stood by you, have been your audience, who've been your loyal watchers, and who would revolt if ESPN took you off the air. Trust me, what I know more than anything, Stephen, is if you're in broadcast, it's about reach. Right? It's about, oh my gosh, we have millions and millions of viewers watching, whatever. If you're in cable, it's about fans. What you want are people who are going to be loyal and who are going to watch you all the time. And if someone tries to get rid of you, they are going to revolt and they're going to get rid of their ESPN cable. That's what you want. And so I'm just saying that because every day people walk up to me and say, I stopped watching after you left. Be aware of that, Stephen A. Smith. If you want to know anything about the Don Lemon Show, go to donlemon.com, donlemon.com. While you're there, speaking of, someone who had a very similar conversation with me, D.L. Hughley, we're going on tour. Click on that box right there. D.L. Hughley and I had to come to Jesus. He told me, he's like, let me get you straight, brother. Did I agree with everything he said? No. Some of it, was he right? Yes. Same thing with Spike Lee. Same thing. In a green room at CNN. Spike Lee and I are friends. Call him up right now. Spike, I need your help. He's there. So just know that, okay? So go and check out, go get our tickets. Stephen A., come to one of our shows. Be a special guest on one of our shows. Me and D.L. Hughley. Would you do that? He's your frat brother. He's your frat. All right. So we start on September 11th in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we go all the way through, all across the country, and then we end up in LA and New York, okay, in December. And once you do that, go back to donlemon.com, hit the back button, go to donlemon.com, and then hit close, and then go on any one of those platforms. We hope that you would start with this one, okay? And that is YouTube. It looks like a play button or an arrow. Become a member or subscriber there, okay? The memberships are extremely reasonable. Subscriptions are free. Once you become a member, if you're already a member, you can gift membership.
Yeah, we ain't becoming no member, but anyway, y'all, listen, man, that's enough and that's enough. Hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in, participating with the Nolan Wells content and just still being in the building. Hit that like button. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's time to go. So, listen, man, again, appreciate all my kings and goddesses that's moderators on the channel. Respects. To all my Kick, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch supporters. Man, listen, I'm gonna leave y'all like I came to you. Let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. Once again, let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. And lastly, family, let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. Don't forget to master these 5 key components of life. That's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. That's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. And one last time for those in the back, y'all, that's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. And don't forget to E40 that thing and sprinkle a little support on top, because a little support go a long, 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 long way, y'all. Hey, man, peace, abundance, and love, man. And y'all know what it is. Go support those who support me, because I support them until further notice. And don't forget, those that fuck with us, fuck with us. Those that don't, fuck with us anyway. Hey, man, y'all know what it is. All superheroes don't need capes, but they still need their theme music. So to all my beautiful people, all my superheroes, and all my Beardonians, we out. Hey, man, don't forget to tap in every day at the Strong. Saturday to Sunday, we got something going on. 9 p.m. Central to 11, well, to whenever we get through. You feel me? Same brown time, same brown channel. Y'all come brown now. You hear? Peace.
Guys, guys, yeah, guys, 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 yeah, guys. My name is Cito. Guys, guys, you already know that, dog. Guys, guys, guys. This the hottest show you gon' find around. If young niggas ain't known, you need to ask around. This is bearded conversation. It's all love and no hate. Around here we good, but we aim to be great. Dip back in the debate, enjoy your Scooby snacks. Around here we just talk about this and all that. We talking real life, every day and every night. And if you need to clear the air, you can bring your wife. We got church on Sunday, that's on the west side. We got virtual reality, in case you're scared of outside. See, we got what you need, and that's a guarantee. The best thing about it is absolutely free. Bearded conversations, all love ain't no haters. Enjoy Scooby snacks while we get back to the business. Don't matter if you black or white, who you think is wrong or who is right. These are just opinions, some inside from a different walk of life. Yeah, see, my name is Cito. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, buy this man a coffee. Don't forget to lead over follow. Don't forget to love those that love you. And don't ever forget that you ain't never been richer than you are right now.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Hey, man, y'all know what it is, man. Don't forget, hey, when we come together, may we always meet on a level. Once we're in each other's presence, may we always be humble and plumb. And when we leave each other's presence, may we always part on the square. Some more to be, some more to be, some more to be, so may it be, family. Peace. Hey, man, don't forget, check back tomorrow, Toxic Tuesday, y'all. We out.